The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, LSRTV. Happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the first week on the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association, live tonight on LSRTV and iRacing Live. As always, happy to be topside with you this evening. Myself, Evan Pasoko, joined alongside by Austin Coop and Christopher Murdoch at the LSRTV booth. Downstairs, our executive producer, Cisco Scarbo, pushing all the buttons and bringing us to you this evening. Now, mixing things up a little bit on a Wednesday, Coop. This is the first week of this new series, and for those who've been following along with us on Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth, you have a pretty good idea of what's in store. But for those who maybe haven't, let's kind of break it down for everybody. This series, which is going to run from now through early 2018, is going to be unlike any other short track series we have ever seen, and unlike any short track series that anybody else watching has ever seen on iRacing Live.
Yeah, this has actually been in the works to become kind of what it is today at Myrtle Beach. We've had one at Southern National in the past that it was not broadcasted, but now we've got 7 divisions, late model. We've got a few others like the U-Car for fun, and then we've got Legends and the Tour mods and a lot of other cars that are going to be out here. Tonight we're going to have 5 divisions out of the 7 they're going to run, including a 100-lap feature with the late models, and it's a pretty cool deal that we're going to be at this track every time that the series comes out. So it's almost like a short track feeling that we're going to be seeing here.
Right, it's essentially like you're out at your local short track on a Saturday night. In this case, Myrtle Beach Speedway is going to be our home week in and week out. And we've kind of seen a little bit of this style with the Championship Esports Association already here on LSR-TV with the Cars Esport Tour, bringing us 2 divisions of late model stock action and super late model action week in and week out. But Chris, this is completely different. We're basically taking that and ramping it up because, as Coop said, 5 different divisions racing here tonight at LSR-TV and iRacing Live. We're going to get it kicked off here in just a little bit. And the Legends car for the Legends division feature, we've got 4 more after that race. Straight stock, super trucks, you got late models and new cars. We have a night full of action coming up.
We really do here, Evan, and it's just like Coop said, it's like you're just at your regular old short track. It's a lot of action, a lot of talent, and a lot of great cars going to be out here tonight at Myrtle Beach Speedway. I'm so excited about having the privilege to do both the Cars Esports Tour and now be a part of this, and it's just a great series on both ends, so I'm excited to get this thing started.
There are 7 divisions that we're going to see over the course of the year, but as noted, 5 of them in action tonight. The Chargers division not on track tonight, then the mini stocks are not either. Both of those going to be on track with us when we come back to this series in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, with the Cars Esport Tour taking up this time slot at the same time right here on LSR TV and iRacing Live next week. Let's talk a little bit about this Myrtle Beach Speedway, because another thing that makes this series unique, not only do we get 5 different races and 5 different cars, many of which the series are different drivers. You're going to see a couple of familiar names back and forth, but there are going to be drivers doing a couple of series and not the others. So it is very much like the short tracks that you'll see down at your local track at the weekends. But this Myrtle Beach Speedway, Coop, is one of the newest pieces of short track racing content on the iRacing service, and it's a hell of a fun track to drive.
Yeah, you're going to notice the uniqueness of turn 1 here, and of course turns 3 and 4 are extremely tight and almost like there's no room to go if you're at the bottom or the top. But we're going to see some drivers with some setups here that really kind of make this a little bit different. And also something that makes this series completely different is that the series admins have completely dropped the iRacing caution flags. They are going to manually throw those cautions, and they're going to have a real life pace car driver, similar to what we had when Dirt first came out. Gosh, that was almost about 2 months ago now, believe it or not. But we're going to have Jacob Porter being our pace car driver for all of these events, and he'll be out there. And not this race, but then some of the other ones will also be having a cone car. And if you're unfamiliar with the cone car, we'll explain it when it comes up in the next race, but we'll have that happening as well.
And the Legends are getting this thing kicked off for the Legends division feature. Going to be the first and the shortest race on the evening, Chris. That one going to clock in at just 25 laps in distance. The longest one we'll see a little bit later on will be 100 laps at late models, but a short sprint for the guys who will be rolling off first.
It's a short sprint, but there's going to be a lot of action. These Legends can really get up and go around this track, and I'm going to be excited to see how many people are going to push these cars to the limit. Like Coop said, there's going to be a lot of great setups out here on the track, and I see a lot of great drivers out here as well. So we're going to have to be paying attention to a lot of these drivers, starting in the back, seeing what they'll do to make it to the front.
So we get set for the first feature on the night. Let's go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for tonight's Legends Division feature. Starting on pole position is going to be the 23 of Christian Peterson. Talking about familiar names, they'll bring us to the green flag tonight, joined on the front row in second by the 55 of Michael Held. Brandon Wilkinson will roll off of the inside row number 2. He'll start in third position with Jonathan Lawrence alongside in fourth. Just behind them, rounding out your top 5 is Matthew Tucker.
The number 18 is Matt Crawla in the 6th position. Cody Leland start in the 7th position. John Hain will start in the number 75 machine in the 8th position. Then Jeremy Watkins starts in the 9th position. Then John Ouellette, he'll be the last car out there in the 10-car field.
So that you look top to bottom at your Legends features starting grid. Again, that short distance of 25 laps is going to be, and it's a quick race. The 5 rows, 10 cars total, top to bottom. Well, obviously, starting up front's going to help you out. There are a couple of drivers who had good speeds in the warm-up session just before we jumped onto the grid here that are starting towards the back half of the top 5. It's not too deep to the point where, Chris, they won't be competitive. I think if they get going early, watch the middle of the pack to see if anybody starts trying to work their way up front. If you sit back at all, you're not going to have time.
Yeah, you really don't, especially with these Legends where it's so momentum based going on in these corners. You got to hit the perfect line. You got to stay there, get on that white curve, hold it, and hit that gas off and come as straight as you can off these corners. We'll see who can run these Legends cars the best, because they may be small, but they're pretty quick.
And the field is going to go green the next time when the pace car drops down and away. So that being said, we're happy that you're with us tonight on LSR TV and iRacing Live for the first night of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. The pace car dropping down and in, and the field is going to go on the green flag as they come to turn number 4. Side by side, 5 rows deep, we go racing for the Legends Division feature tonight. Green flag in the air. Side by side of the stripe, Michael Held advantage to quarter 1. Door to door, though, Peterson going to have the inside.
Yeah, that inside line. Look at Michael Held go pretty wide, and you're already seeing some of these guys start to fall back or come forward. Michael Held has a really good line on the outside, and he's going to power down to the bottom of the track, and Brandon Wilkinson, he takes more of a wide approach. Look at that. It looks like Jonathan Lawrence. He's really out of the line right there, and he may even maybe barely scrape the wall right here. He's going to lose a few positions, but just got a little bit out of position right there on the very bottom of the track. He's losing a couple spots right there.
He got out of the groove and he almost got up into the outside fence. He was able to hang on to it, but it's going to cost him quite the number of positions. He'll fall to 6th when that is all said and done. Just in front of him, James Carhulo is the driver who was able to pick up that spot. So the driver of the 18 goes from 6th to 5th position. Meanwhile, back up front though, Peterson still in control after clearing on the inside on the opening lap. Wilkinson now from 3rd, trying to keep Held honest. The top 3 opening up a small gap over 4th on back.
Yeah, Michael Held was able to keep up with Christian Peterson there for a little bit, but Peterson opened up that car and he's able to get just a tiny bit of gap. Michael Held is going to be falling back to that 26 of Brandon Wilkinson. Matthew Tucker's just behind him. He's got to walk out for Graham Kruha as he comes through in the 18 machine. He's on rails right now, Evan. He's going to be all over the back bumper of that 43 machine. He's going to be looking towards the inside. He's not going to quite get there. They get pretty close going down into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, the 16 got a little bit pinched there. The 43 did eventually give him the space, but I think Krahula checked up. He didn't want to be a part of that one, so they're not going to swap out spots, and Krahula is going to stay in the number 5 position. Just taking a look behind these guys, John Ouellette running into the 8 spot. He's got the 75 of John Hine just behind him in 9th position. Both of those drivers started towards the back, and if you're talking about the 75, you've lost a spot. If you're talking about the other driver in Ouellette, you've gained 2 positions, so a little bit of movement back there, but single file now with 5 laps complete for about a bridge, only 20 laps to go. Peterson enjoying the view out front first time tonight. He breaks out to a 5/10 of a second advantage.
He's broke that advantage, but he's not really that much faster than Held. I think Held made a big mistake not too long ago, and that's costing quite a bit. But now 2/10 is the difference, and Peterson's times only are getting faster with this car. His fastest time was on lap number 4, and he then ran a 7.4. So you can only imagine that machine's only getting faster as it goes, even though he did his fastest time a few laps ago, but still able to keep on these times. Just kind of wondering what everyone else has, and it's starting to get pretty single filed out throughout the field, and that closest battle looks like it is going to be for second place. Brandon Wilkinson, he's looking at Michael Held as he did on lap 1.
Yeah, Held's got quite the paint scheme on that number 55, and the 26 has been taking a look at the back at it since the start of this race. The top 3 run in the exact order into which they collected the green flag. No changes, 1, 2, and 3. The biggest mover to this point is plus 2 spots, and that's Ouellette, who I mentioned, went from 10th to 8th position. The biggest faller in this, biggest loser, I guess, the 66 of Jonathan Lawrence, who started 4th. He fell to 6th position. We followed the 66 at the outside of the racetrack. He has since lost another spot. Cody Leland has been able to get around him in the number 21 machine, so Leland going to go +1.
Yeah, and as we look up here at the second place battle, Wilkinson was all over the back bumper of that 55 machine. Held, able to back off just a little bit, regain his composure and try it again, but he's going to be falling off a little bit. He's not going to get there quite in 3 and 4, but he was all over that back bumper, and a mistake by Michael Held seems to get loose off of 3 and 4. That's going to open up the door on the outside for the 26 of Brandon Wilkinson to take that spot and move him up to second place.
He'll take over second and a battle behind them for 4th. Here comes James Krahula, and he's got it. Got close on Tucker a couple of laps ago. Wasn't able to complete that pass for what was position number 4. That time he got on the outside of the racetrack, and they're going to swap things out. He'll go to 4th position. Now, though, how about a 3-way battle? Cody Leland is right there on the bumper. That fight between the 43 and the 18 checked him up. We'll see if this is a 3-way fight or if that 18 can pull away, and maybe it'll be just a fight for 5th.
Yeah, you can't forget about Jonathan Lawrence, who also was up there. He started in the 4th position, so he's lost a few ones, and he wants to get them all back, and you can't forget about that position for second. Look at there, right there. He's almost quite there. That's it's going to be Cody Leland, almost on the inside of the 43 right there, but does not have the power nor the desire to push it this much. About halfway right now, crossing the stripe.
And a battle going on a little bit deeper in the pack. John Ouellette still hanging on to the number 8 position, but John Hine trying to get back up and around him. The 81 to pass the 75 in the opening couple of laps. The 75 going to go to the inside. They will go side by side down in quarters 1 and 2, and still going to be to the outside with a little bit of a better run, utilizing what are 13 degrees of banking here at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, and Ouellette going to be able to defend again.
Ouellette able to defend, but Hine not giving up yet. He's going to be on the back bumper again, going in 1 and 2, but he's not going to have quite the run. We jump up here to your leader, Christian. 3 and 4, utilize lap baking, like you said, Evan. He's going to get loose off the corner. Big mistake by the 75 of John Hine.
And that's going to prevent him once more from getting up to a lap. But I guess if you're starting to get desperate and you can tell that the laps are beginning to wind down, maybe you have to push it just that little bit extra. You overstep that boundary very easy to get these cars out of shape. There really isn't a lot of apron either around this Myrtle Beach Speedway. Down in 1 and 2, you do have space because cars need to be able to get off of the pit lane, and you've got some pretty nasty curbs down on that white line, where if you try to duck down a little bit too low, you'll probably pop the front end of that car up in the air. But in 3 and 4, there is nothing on the inside. You're right up against the wall, so if you really want to protect the bottom, you might end up putting somebody in the fence. We saw a close call amongst that battle for 4th and 5th, Krahula and Tucker earlier on in this race. Nobody ended up in the inside fence, but it's definitely claustrophobic at that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, and speaking of those bumps in turns 1 and 2, I think these cars can take it a little bit better, but when we look at some of the cars that take the track later, that's definitely not going to be the case. Since these cars sit up a little bit more off the ground, we'll see these guys be able to maybe flirt with it a little bit, but later on, if they hit that, they may actually be done for the night if they hit those, so definitely something to be aware of as we're getting close to 5 laps to go with Christian Peterson. As we've seen him on Wednesday nights so much, he's still leading, led every single lap so far.
Yeah, he's almost acting like if it is one of the Cars Esport Tour events, that 2-second advantage. The biggest has been caution to flying to fly. I was just about to say we haven't seen issues tonight. The yellow flag is out. Cody Leland has gone for a spin in the number 21 Legends car. He was trying to get to the inside of Lawrence in a battle for 6th. Single car spin brings out the yellow, and we hit the reset button inside of 5 laps to go.
Yeah, he was turning the wheel just a little bit too much coming off of turn 2 there, Evan, down there towards the apron. And once you straighten that car out, you get too much wheel in it, it's not going to go straight. It's going to keep turning left. He got loose and spun it gently towards the inside wall. Luckily kept it off of everything, so he'll get that car back going once again. And maybe we'll react this field and get one more restart out of this.
And the advantage of having manual cautions is that time by 2 laps to go. That's Jacob Porter in a Ford Mustang up at the front of the field, actually pacing this field. 2 laps to green that time by. If there were a regular event with the iRacing automatic cautions, Coop, we may not be going back green in this race, but because of the way the guys at the Championship Esports Association are doing it, we should be able to get this one back under green. Yeah,
they'll have a quick 2-lap dash to the end here, and we'll definitely we'll get those 5 laps and 2 laps to go via PA. But that Myrtle Beach Speedway pace car is out there and doing a good job pacing, of course. But that's a real pace car out there. If you forget that you can't go through it, these drivers will actually do some damage to not only their own car but to the pace car. So it has happened in when we did this at I think it was Southern National. So just gotta be aware if you're one of these drivers. But we're gonna get another restart.
The pace car going to drop down this time. Race leaders working on lap number 24 of 25 tonight. So how about a 1-lap shootout for the Myrtle Beach Speedway? Pace car going to go down in the field into the hands of the 23 Christian Peterson. Side by side with him, Brandon Wilkinson was just able to move up to the number 2 spot. You got the 55 held down in 3rd, Krahula and Tucker inside of the top 5. 24 laps down, and the Legends feature for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Green flag flies.
As they're going off, Brandon Wilkinson not getting the start he wants to. That's going to open up the door for Michael Held to go down onto into turn 1, but Held's going to slide up just a little bit, check both of them up just behind them. Matthew Tucker looking for a hole to go in. That's going to look good for Christian Peterson coming out of turn 3.
He'll leave the battle behind him. Sideways off for the corner. Checkered flag. Christian Peterson wins tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. He is your Legends Division feature winner for week number 1. And I think that he was in a pretty comfortable position when we came to 5 laps to go, Coop. He was 2 seconds out in front of everybody else despite the caution and one final restart. The 23 machine out in front. Still too fast to catch. And Peterson continues his winning ways.
Yeah, he's able to really make those setups last the entire race. I think that's one of the biggest things is he's not only fast to begin with, just him in a race car, but whenever he comes and gets those good setups, you can definitely see that he just makes it work a lot harder and a lot better than what your typical average racer has on these Wednesday nights, whether it's going to be for the Esport Tour, the Cars Esport Tour, or any of the cars that he drives here. We'll have to see. I'm sure he's going to be in another one later on tonight.
It was an exciting finish also behind the guys up front. Chris Held just barely hanging on and finishing for Wilkinson for that battle between second and third.
Yeah, big nod to those two drivers. They've been battling all night. I also want to give a big nod to Brandon Wilkinson. You may see his name a lot, but you might not see him behind the wheel in that Wilkins Enterprise machine in the 15 in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series that just got the win here on Tuesday. He's up on the spotter stand. Nice to see him able to get back behind the wheel and then finished third on the podium, so great job to him. Michael Held finishing second, like you said, did a great job also battling all night.
Let's let you know where everybody else finished as we wrap up tonight's Legends feature. Obviously, Christian Peterson taking home the checkered flag tonight. Michael Held in second. Brandon Wilkinson, talking about those two, he comes in third tonight. Matthew Tucker was just behind them at fourth, and John Coop finished in P5.
James Krahula finishes in the 6th position. Jonathan Lawrence finishes in 7th. John Hain finished 8th. Corey Leland finishes 9th. And Jeremy Watkins finishes in 10th.
The checkered flag has flown, one down, 4 still to go. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside when we come back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway. We're going to racing for the Street Stocks Division feature for week number 1. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association on iRacing Live. Feature race number 2 on the evening when we come back.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda SimSport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iracing.com/live.
Welcome back live to the Myrtle Beach Speedway, where LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented with the Championship Esports Association continues. One race down, still 4 to go on week 1 of the season. Happy that you're with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Already tonight, Christian Peterson has took a race win in the Legends Division, feature that 25-lap main event. Went in favor of the 23, saw just 1 caution flag. So, gentlemen, we go to race number 2. Street Stocks on track for a 30-lap feature beginning in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and they'll be utilizing the cone car we mentioned earlier, which if you're not familiar with the cone car, basically it's going to be a car that goes out there during the cautions, if they have any, and each driver is allowed to choose which line they want to. So if they want to go to the bottom line and say you're first, second, and third, you all go to the bottom, and the 4th place driver decides he wants some track position, he can go and be on the front row. So it's going to be really cool to see how that plays in effect if we have any cautions in the street stock race or any of the other races that are going to happen tonight with the super trucks and the Napa late models that will happen later as well. Those divisions will also utilize the cone car, which will be pretty cool because that's what a lot of these short tracks use around the states.
And I don't think that this street stock race is going to be too different, Chris, from what we saw earlier on in the Legends. Obviously, different cars are going to drive differently, but only 5-lap difference in a race length.
Yeah, and the cars are a really big deal here, especially these street stocks, because if you don't enter the corner just right here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, Evan, you'll get those cars tight, and we saw it a little bit in the Legends race that we had earlier, but if you get down there and you get too tight, you'll wash up and take somebody out, or if you try to put too much wheel in it and get that car to turn, it's basically the same thing that we saw in the Legends car. You'll just spin it right around like we saw earlier, so you gotta, it's always different in these races, especially getting accustomed to these new cars, because we have drivers from the last race in this race, so we'll have to see if anything changes in their driving style.
That being said, let's go racing. For 30 more laps for Myrtle Beach Speedway, we go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for tonight's Street Stocks Division feature race. Pole position tonight belongs to Jeremy Adams, the number 89 machine, going to start up front, and he will be joined on the front row by Jonathan Smith. Michael Held going to roll from 3rd position with John Lyday in the number 4 spot, just a little bit further more back. Scott Austin will roll from 5th.
John Hain will start from that 6th position. Jeremy Watkins, he was in that last race as well. He'll start 7th. Rory Blum starts in the 8th position to round out the 8-car field.
Field rolls to quarter number 1 and 2, and Chris, these street stocks feel a little bit more bulky than the Legends, which tend to kind of zip around the racetrack. We've got fenders on all 4 sides of these cars, maybe a little bit more of an aggressive race for the second one on the night.
Yeah, you can definitely be a lot more aggressive with these cars. I mean, you're going to see a lot of people try to get down there, get on that back bumper, and maybe push some of these drivers up the track. So that's always going to be something to look forward to, especially with these short tracks. You never know what to expect from these cars.
Lights go out on top of the pace car. We are ready to go racing for the second time on the night. Again, if you're just tuning in with us, Legends Division feature already come and gone. Christian Peterson, your winner in that. Once the checkered flag flies in this race, don't forget 3 more races still to come. Super Trucks going to come up to you next at LSRTV, followed by the Blue Ridge Napa Late Model Division feature and the U-Cars Division feature a little bit later on as the sun begins to set here in Myrtle Beach. Pace car down and away. We'll see what Jerry Adams can do. The first race was won by the driver who sits on a pole. We'll see if the 89 machine can keep that streak alive. They'll come in at a quarter 4. Green flag flies, and we are racing Street Stocks first time of the year.
Yeah, it looks like a really good jump on the outside. Almost door banging before they got. Look at the 3 already tucking under, trying to get that position already. Like you said, a little bit more of aggressive driving. It's going to let Jeremy Adams have a little bit of running room, but they're 2x2 for the 2nd and 3rd. And looks like that might be the 05 of Scott Austin losing a little bit of ground on it. They're still 2x2 now, single filing out here in the front stretch.
And looks like everybody's been able to find a spot in line as Adams opens up a 0.5 of a second gap to John Lyday, who made a quick jump from 4th on the grid to 2nd position. Jonathan Smith is not letting him get away, who sits right there with him, but obviously held in the 55. The driver who had the biggest issues on the start. He was slated to start in 3rd, but decided not to take the green. So he's way back in 8th position in kind of a tricky situation. Really needs a caution if he wants to be a part of this.
Yeah, and Lyde had such a great start there. He was all over the back bumper of Smith going through. Now that they're still side by side, Smith not giving him just yet. You see him all over the back bumper of that 3 machine, but they're letting Jeremy Adams in that 89 machine drive away as he's just now crossing the start finish line. So they've got to do something, because this is what we've seen in the last race too. The drivers in second would battle as cautions out on the speedway.
72 machine, who's the one that had the issues. It's in turn number 3, and another driver just got into some trouble on his own. We were talking about in that first race just how tight things get when you head off to quarter number 3, and I think he just got a little bit too hard on the brakes checking up as to not get into the back of Scott Austin in front of him. And this is Rory Blum, who gets sideways, and I think he was able to keep it off of the fence, but that car lost control, and when he snaps it back up the hill, he ends up coming up right in front of Jeremy Watkins, who's going to take a little bit of damage on the front end, but obviously a tough break for Blum, got into the outside fence.
Yeah, and one of those deals where you get into the corner a little hard with the nose and you hit the inside wall, and you try and save it all you can, but sometimes as a driver, no matter how much you save it, no matter how you lock down, you're still going to get some damage. So we're going to just have to see how that works. Looks like the cone car right now, you're going to see that cone car come out. We're going to see which drivers take which line here. It's going to be really interesting to see who in the, I think, 4th or 5th position, where they go on this. All the drivers could go to the bottom here on this cone car, or we'll just have to see how it goes.
Lights are going to go out on top of the pace car this time by, and we're going to get things back underway. A little bit of shuffling up on that short opening stint in this race. How about John Hine in the number 75 machine? Started in 7th position. He's up to 4th. It is going to be on the outside of row number 2. That's your biggest mover so far in the Budweiser 75.
Yeah, and as you see Cohen past the cone car now, it seems everybody taking the inside except for that 75. John Hine gonna pull right up next to that 89. Also the 55 gonna come up here. That's Michael Held. So 2 drivers trying to advance their position on the outside. Drivers behind them coming through the 72 of Rory Blum. So just about evening out here through the field. So the cone car did allow Rory Blum to get back up there into the field as they get ready to go green.
And you'll keep an eye on the drivers as they come to the front straightaway. The 89 going to be in control once again. Got a pretty good jump at a first restart. He'll go again to complete 7 laps of 30 on the night. Green flag flies as he gets off and away. Side by side, the battle remains for second position. Lade to the inside of the racetrack. The 75 at the outside. Hine trying to come from behind. Thought about had a nose there. Not going to happen. He had to check it up off of the corner. And instead of fighting with the Lade, he's now fighting with the 23 of Smith on the inside. Side by side for 3rd.
Yeah, and I think he was expecting that outside to be a little bit better than it was, and sadly he wasn't able to get the push off he thought, and then he got real tight on him, so had to really back down. Now he's still fighting right there on the outside, and that just shows you how important that cone car is to some of these drivers to stay on the bottom, even if it means to lose that position, at least at the moment. And the first 3 drivers are still the first 3 drivers before the caution and after the caution after a couple laps. So that cone car did help the 75 get back into the action, but he's up there towards the top line. So I think this will become more interesting as the weeks go on, but there's a product of what can happen.
And I really thought that 75 machine was going to get around Lide. He had a great run on the outside in the corner, and I thought he maybe was going to end up in second position. Instead, that time by Scott Austin passes him up, and he's going to fall down to 6th. So all those spots that he made up now almost down the drain. He's still +1 from where he started, but by the time he gets the water wings working, he's 2.7 seconds off of a side-by-side fight for second position. Lade is under attack. Jonathan Smith on the inside.
Jonathan Smith trying to do everything he can. He's driving in, trying to outbrake as they get close. I don't even think you could fit a piece of paper in between them going down into turn 1 as they're trying to side-by-side battle. They've been side-by-side for 3 laps now. Evan Holding and Smith not giving in. He's inching closer, but Lide gonna power off. Not gonna be quite clear of him yet as they go off down into turn 1. They're gonna be side-by-side, even and up now, and they're still going side-by-side. Nobody wanting to give an inch.
And this is really hurting them, though, as far as trying to battle for the race lead. They've been side by side for about 3 laps. The 3 Elide on the outside, 3/4 of a car length advantage. A little bit of contact. The 23 of Smith gets into the inside wall, and that'll break up what was a good battle to that point for second position. Lide going to be able to maintain it now, 13 laps complete. Through all of that fighting, though, the race leader pulled out by another second. It's now 2+ in favor of the 89.
Yeah, they got into a big contact right there, and look at that 55 right there. Michael Held, he's back into the picture for this top 3 group right here as well, so definitely something to think about with the 55 being there. And those guys are getting really close together. The 3 had to hold off the 23. He did it once, and I bet you that 23 wants to try it again, made that small mistake, and might try to get back there. He's really close to his bumper on the entrance of the corner, and that's how he got under him in the first place. Just got him up the track a little bit, halfway this time by.
Close it in on the end now from this point on. 30 laps distance in tonight's Street Stocks division to feature, and the fight for the race lead, while almost non-existent, has yielded a good battle for second, third, and fourth. I think Smith is going to be able to get back up to Lade. Really drove it in hard that time to corner 3. 3 is going to be a little bit better off, but I don't really think the 23 got any damage from the contact with the wall. If he can pace himself, I think he'll be able to get back up there. And through all of this, Held has been walking his way back up to the field. Remember, qualified third, but started from pit road, so this is soon to be a 3-way fight for second.
And it's already shaping up to be a 3-way fight. Held's trying to get to that back bumper. I saw him use it a little bit earlier on Smith, but it didn't have any effect on that 23 machine. Now the 23 machine's going to be right up on Lide coming through. They're all going to be single file, but they're too close. They're not going to budge. Nobody wants to make a move as Held's up in the wall, going to slow him down a little bit. A costly mistake by Held as he's going to back off, leave 2 cars battling for second.
It's not something you could afford. He's got plenty of time in this race to try to make it up, but 12 laps to go that time by the start-finish line. He has to hope that the 23 and the 3 would get side by side. If they do, obviously that would check him up quite a bit, and he would be able to get back into this conversation. To read about throughout the field behind this battle for second, third, and fourth, Scott Austin rides all by himself at a 5th position. He's in front of a battle for 6th and 7th. That's John Hahn and Rory Blum. Fighting, no side by side back there in the pack yet. Closest fight remains the one you're looking at with the 3 and the 23.
Yeah, there's been a multiple times that those 2 have been side by side this race. 23 just absolutely ducks the car down in there, and I think it's just because he can. And the 3, I think it's having a more approach on the exit, but at a track like this, and with the way he's driving, he's just gonna have to go on the inside, and that's where he's at right now. He's still over there. He's gonna have to check up. He got really tight of the corner, still showing them he's right there, trying to make a move, trying to make anything happen, but he's got to watch out. He gets hit by Michael Held right there in turns 3 and 4. So this truly is a 3-horse race right now.
Race leader 4 seconds in front of where all the fun is. I'm sure Adam's not complaining that he's missing out on the action as he tries to set sail. 8 laps to go as of the next time by. But for Adams in that 3 machine, I think he's got to protect the inside, because that 23 on the inside was pretty good when they were side by side the last time. Now, got loose, tagged the fence, and obviously dropped back a little bit, but I think that the 3 machine has to go for a defensive line. You can't let that 23 get to the bottom just simply because that car looks like it's able to hook up on the bottom a little bit better than you, giving up that preferred lane, at least the lane that the 23 would like. Not the smartest suggestion, as 23 takes a shot from the 55.
Yeah, and he's been taking multiple shots these past few laps, Evan. So if the 23 was to get beside Lide, he would still have to worry about Michael Held as he sends him another shot. It's just no effect to that 23 machine. He's able to hook it up. He's not being moved, but eventually Held will be able to hit that back bumper and move him as he hits him once again going through 3 and 4. These bumpers are being used here late in this race.
I said we got fenders on these things, so it might be a little bit more physical of a race than the legends we saw earlier on. Next time by, only 5 laps to go in this race. That was the moment in the last race in which the final caution flag came out. The 23 driving really hard to the bumper. He has yet to commit, though. I don't think that he's willing to go for the bump yet. Maybe when we get to 2 or 3 laps to go, he'll start to realize, hey, I'm running out of time. I got to go for it, but for now, wants to do it cleanly. The 3 leaves the inside open, but can't take it advantage.
Yeah, look at Michael Held. He's lost a little bit of time on these guys, and 23 is looking to the inside. 3's giving him room, but I think the 3 likes that high side. If he's going to have to do battle, he'd like to do it up there side by side for just a moment right there. And if these guys do battle, Held's going to be right there. And you already know how he's going to battle either one of these two. So there they go side by side. That turns number 2. I believe it's going to stay that way. So we only have a few more laps as they come to the stripe. And they're going to get oh so close here in turns 3 and 4. Look at Michael Held. He's watching this. Jeremy Adams, he's long gone. He could probably win the race at this point. But this battle is really tight.
And you see the 23 just struggling to get back to the gas at the inside, Chris. They got close about 4 times that time around. Going to be 2 laps left to go this time. They are still neck and neck.
Still neck and neck going down into turn 3. Want to make a quick point as they're traveling down the front straightaway. We're going to look towards 1 and 2. Once again, you can see how much John Lyday is pinching that 23 of Jonathan Smith down there. You see as they're going through turn 1, those bumps Evan was talking about earlier in the Legends race. If you hit one of those, you're going to mess your car all up, and that's what Lyday is trying to do. He's trying to push him down there. And Held's here now going corner by corner. Out of turn 4, trying to make it 3 wide. It looked like white flag in the air. 1 more lap to go.
And well in front of the battle is Jeremy Adams. As we watch the fight for second, the number 89 machine is going to come off for the final quarter. Jeremy Adams is going to win the Street Stocks Division feature from Myrtle Beach Speedway. The fight for second, undetermined. Lyday going to get forced out of the way. Contact for third. He's into the outside wall and slicing up to third place at the start-finish line is Michael Held. Lyday in the fence will come home in 4th.
Oh, that's got to put a bitter taste in your mouth. Being second that whole time, it was a really good fight, but it looked like the contact that happened between the 55 and the 23 just pushed them up the track just enough, and then the 55 was all out of shape from that hard hit. So really hard racing, and I could tell that the intensity between those 3 to get what they could get on that last corner was really up there. And I'd say that the 3 protected the inside, he wouldn't have had that problem. But I would say the 55 would have probably pushed the issue on moving those guys out of the way. So definitely couldn't have, might not have been avoidable either way.
So the 89 machine gets the job done, and again, really all the fun as we saw those drivers wreck across the start-finish line. I guess they never went all the way around, but they were definitely having a little bit of extracurricular activities amongst the drivers fighting. But we'll talk to the driver who finished in front of the race side by side to the line. Coming home to the 2 to 6.4 seconds to the good. Jeremy Adams is your winner tonight in the Street Stocks Division feature, and we are caught up with the driver of the 89. Jeremy, congratulations. You guys start from pole, and you leave all of the excitement well into the rear as they're wrecking each other for second, third, and fourth on the line. None of that was required. You guys were really fast tonight.
Yeah, setup was good. I had to set up from a previous league race I had done, so I didn't have to do much work to it, but kind of surprised it was that good, that it was that much better than everybody else. But yeah, it felt good.
Never hurts when you're able to come out for the first week and get the job done. Coming into this series, this is something that we've been looking forward for quite some time. Seeing something like this here with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live, what are your thoughts on it as a driver?
It's fun. It gives you a lot of chances to run different cars in one night. Get a lot of different races. You're not really concentrating on one race, but I don't know. I like it. Everybody should come out and try it. It's really good. I kind of picked it just one open setup series from the tier, just this car for open setup, so I didn't have to work on it. But I think there's fixed setup in every tier, so if you're not into open setups, you can come out and run a fixed setup every tier. It's really fun.
We'll let you get out of here. Jeremy, congratulations. The sponsors, the shout-outs, anybody else you want to say hi to?
Globecom, I Analyze, everybody at Vince here and Sickman. Appreciate everybody's help. You guys for broadcasting, and Barnes runs a really good show, really well run.
It was a fun, nice, so far we've gotten through 2 races. Both drivers who started on pole in each of those have gone on to win. So again, congratulations to you guys. Best of luck going forward. We get to see you again tonight?
Yeah, me or CP1 want to try to take this late model if we can.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see you there again, Jerry. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll chat later.
All right, appreciate it.
That's the driver who comes home as your winner in tonight's Street Stocks Division feature. Jeremy Adams getting the job done. I think the gauntlet has now been thrown as we get set to go into our next race on the night, the Super Truck Scoop. Sun going to be going down. The lights are going to be coming on. And let's see if somebody decides pole sitter can get the job done and put her in victory lane. This one, a lot more spirited with that battle for second, but still the fastest cars have having a pretty good job to this point.
Yeah, and these trucks are going to be super fast. I mean, they're called super trucks for a reason, but they're going to be quite a lot faster than the two cars that we just saw not too long ago. So a little bit longer of a race, lap wise, but at the same time, we're going to go 40 laps, much more horsepower.
Let's take a rundown through your full race results for tonight's Street Stocks Division feature. Jeremy Adams takes home the checkered flag. Jonathan Smith, who started in second, comes home there. Michael Held, who started in third, finishes third. And John Lyday, who started in fourth, finishes in fourth position. A lot went on, though, between the drivers who came home second through fourth. It'll be a fun conversation maybe to have with them after the cameras turn off here tonight. Just behind them, solid finish for Scott Austin. I mentioned that he was in no man's land, too far back to be a part of the battle for second, but well in front of the cars behind him. He rounds out your top five.
Finishing in the sixth positions, Rory Blum. John Hain, he'll finish in the seventh position. Jeremy Watkins finishes in the eighth position, and then Brad Carpenter did not start the race, so he would not make the show. So that's the finishing order there.
And that does it for 2 of the 5 races on the night. There is plenty more to come, including our main event. So we'll step aside again for a brief moment for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. And when we come back, these super trucks are going to be on track for their 40-lap feature that'll mark the halfway point on tonight's racing action. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association on iRacing Live. Plenty more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
racing. You wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
And welcome back live to the Myrtle Beach Speedway as we get set for our third race on week one of action of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. Legends come and gone, street stocks as well now complete. And guys, we move to what will be one of the most entertaining classes on the night, the Super Trucks division, getting set to rock and roll. Those are the 2013 Chevrolet Silverados, the old NASCAR Camping World Truck Series cars.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see. We had a lot more horsepower with each incremented car. So we had the Legends, and then we got more horsepower with the street stocks, and then we got even more right now. And with the fact that they're large, they're longer than any of the cars that we have. They're going to be more stocky. They're going to have so much. You thought you had fenders on the street stocks. Well, this is like. This is going to be one of the coolest ones because they're going to be really close as well with the setups. They don't have much to have with the setups.
Yeah, exactly. I said that when we came up to the street stocks, that you feel maybe a little bit more bulky because you got some extra sheet metal on you. These trucks are going to be huge, and a lot of what we've been talking about, Chris, is guys fighting for real estate on the very inside of the racetrack, it being a tight racetrack. You add about twice the width and twice the length to the cars we were just in. And even in that one, we saw a little bit of contact. This could very well be interesting as we see these super trucks for the first time on the season.
Yeah, Evan, I think we're going to multiply the contact here in this race, mainly because it's so easy for these trucks to get tight on that very bottom line, especially at the short track. So you'll see a lot of drivers maybe washing up like we saw in the street stock race previously. And then like we saw from Michael Held in that 55 machine last race, that bumper is going to be a huge factor. You're going to see that being used a whole lot more because everybody knows how they can push the trucks, and they can take a hit, but they can also get moved out of the way very quickly. So we're going to see those bumpers come into play as well.
Coverage of tonight's Myrtle Beach Simulation Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, or on the pit box, or even from on top of the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself a basic download or get the pro version today online by going to joel-real-timing.com for more information. If you have been with us so far to this point, we're happy that you're sticking around with us as we work into the night of racing, and night coupe it now is, running under the lights now. As we were at dusk conditions for the opening 2-1s, it is now full on dark at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, which will have its own little changes on the racetrack.
Yeah, it was like you said earlier with the fact that the lights on this track have the track itself is the newest piece of content that we have for short track racing, and with the fact that these lights does bring another element to this, and it's going to be way different than the track was earlier. We're going to have way different trucks on the track, and I believe we're going to get quite a show tonight.
And they are ready to rock and roll, so let's go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for the third race on tonight's resume. The Super Trucks division feature ready to go for the first time from Myrtle Beach. Pole position in this one go to the 23, Christian Peterson. He started on pole position for the Legends a little bit earlier on. He won from that. We'll see if he can do the same from up front in this race. DJ Beverly going to join him on the front row, rolling off in second. James Carhula, Tommy Ryan going to meet each other on row 2. They'll start third and fourth respectively, and Jody Green is in P5.
Starting 6 is Brad Carpenter, number 31. John Lyday starts in the 7th position. Cody Leland starts in the 8th position. That number 21 machine, Matthew Tucker, will start 9th, and then Scott Austin will start 10th.
11th will be Chuck Johnson in that 87 machine, and rounding out your 12 car field, John Ouellette in that 81.
So, biggest vehicles on the night, biggest field to this point. We're ready to go racing for what's going to be the midway point on the night. It also is the longest race to this point. These trucks are just inherently a little bit quicker than the Legends and the Street Stocks, but not necessarily made to get around a joint like this. So taking about 20 seconds plus once you start to get a couple of laps on the tires to get these big Chevy Silverados around this racetrack. Again, still to come immediately after this race, we've got the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division feature. That one going to be the longest one on the night, 100 laps in the late models, and then after that U-Cars is still to come up for their division feature. That'll be 25 laps to close out tonight in the Pontiac Solstice. Not going to want to miss either or of those races, but trucks the focus right now, lights out on top of the pace car.
Yeah, get ready to see what we can do with these trucks here tonight, especially with the amount of room. Like I said, they're not really designed to be at a track like this, but they do have plenty of room. So I'm going to see how they, how much they can really get away with in these trucks. I don't think we've really, I've ever seen the trucks here. So it's kind of going to be new for me, as the Speedway has been for all of us. So it's going to be cool to see what happens here.
Pace car is in. We're ready to rock and roll. Christian Peterson in control to the inside of row number 1. Green flag flies, and we are super truck racing from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Side by side for second is where the fight's going to be. Beverly on the outside, Corhula on the inside. No advantage either way. Door to door for second as well for fourth behind them with the 13 and the 6.
Peterson got a great launch, left DJ Beverly behind to fall to the 18. Just behind them, we got 2x2 racing. That's going to be the 13, Jody Green. Caution out on the racetrack. It looks like huge contact between the 81 and the 43.
Yeah, it started out with the 21 of Cody Leyland. It looked like the truck just slowly lost at a very slow spin in the exit of the corner, and unfortunately he came down on a side-by-side fight. That's a big hit for Matthew Tucker, who had nowhere to go. Also collected in that one, John Ouellette. Chuck Johnson going to get some damage and issues towards the back of the field. Slow us down for the first time in this one.
Yeah, huge hit for a lot of those drivers in the back who, that was the last thing they needed, was even more complications to get towards the front. So for a lot of these guys, Leyland, he's done for the night. He's already parked the car, and it's going to be a long night for some of these other guys, like the 43, and it looks like a couple other guys. But Cone Car is going to be coming out, and it's going to be 2 to go.
To go the next time by, we'll get another opportunity to redraw up at the front of the field. There are no changes, surprisingly enough. 1 through 7, everybody's going to restart in the position in which they took the green flag in this race, but for all the side-by-side, surprised that nobody got caught out by anything. So the Cone Car going to come to a rest at the start-finish line. Phil going to come by single file, give the options the opportunity to choose if they want to restart on the inside or the outside of this lane on when we double things back up rather than come to the green flag the next time around. I think the inside's the place to be for the guys up front.
It is, and for some of those drivers in the back, this is the chance to regain that position, because if nobody's taking the outside, which we've already got a taker in DJ Beverly taking that outside line, then Tommy Ryan going to come up behind him. We'll see who all advances their position. We got the 05. That's going to be Scott Austin, and just behind him, the 81, who's just involved in that accident, John Ouellette. 87 is going to round out your outside, Chuck Johnson. That's all your drivers that took the option of the outside during the Cone Car.
Yeah, the 05 who chooses the outside is going to have an opportunity to make up a couple of spots. He was 8th position, but because he was only the 3rd driver to go to the outside, he'll technically be restarting in what would conventionally be the 6th spot on the racetrack. The pace car is back down to the way. We'll see if Peterson can get going as he did the first time. Green flag flies as we are back underway, and once again he leaves a side-by-side fight scrapping behind him. 01 and the 18, the 13 and the 6 behind, still door to door. We'll see if somebody can finally get an advantage in either of those fights.
Yeah, seeing that these guys are still side by side leads me to believe that outside is not that bad of a place to be. DJ Beverly pulls that off, and look at the battle. Look at all the way down to the bottom. That looks to be 13 and Jody Green possibly right there, going to the very bottom of the track. It does not work, and now he's got Tommy Ryan who is outside. Those two race together on Saturdays right now, so those two are fierce competitors at this moment. They're getting single file out right now, but these battles are not are far from over here, as they're just getting started here in the corners, and seeing which drivers really have the muscle to get up there and start fighting for positions is where it's going to start now.
And I wanted to see if, because the 01 now single filed out, if he would be able to get up and get to Christian Peterson. Not going to be the case. The battle between first and second stays at 0.6 of a second a difference. No real fight going on right there. In fact, last time by Peterson, 1/10 of a second quicker. But Krahula's not willing to give up second. He's been all over Beverly a couple of times. They continue to think about going back 2-2. We do have a side-by-side fight a little bit deeper in the pack. Scott Austin and John Ouellette in a battle for 7th.
Yeah, battle for 7th as Ouellette's trying to look towards the inside, not going to get there, going to clear him. Now the 05, spin on the track. Tommy Ryan going to be parked right in the middle of the back stretch, going to try to get it. No word yet from the race officials. Everything still comes going. Christian Peterson still going down.
No caution.
Off the turn 4, no caution. Going to stay green. Christian Peterson still your lead.
He hit those curbs on the exit of turn 2, Coop. That's something we've talked about a couple of times tonight, and it upset that truck and it spun him around. Race control says he stayed to the inside of the racetrack. We will not slow things down, and we will stay green. That's a really tough break, though, for Ryan.
Yeah, when you get to a race and with the way these guys run, they've only got 40 laps, so a single car spin in the eyes of in these series is not going to permit that caution to come out, mainly because there's no risk of injury for any of these drivers since it's a simulation. So definitely makes these races a little bit tougher to be if you're the likes of Tommy Ryan, who just happened to catch those bumps, and I'm sure his left side of the truck is a little bit beat up as well from hitting those, and so we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that to see if anyone else ventures down there. You can be risky by going down there, but it can do that too. So Tommy Ryan not in last place right now, but he is definitely really far back. His second place is starting to shape up.
And almost funny to think that those curves, which look so little from some of the high camera angles, they're quite serious on the inside of the racetrack. Find it kind of funny that the first vehicle in the first series that they bite somebody in is in the biggest cars that are going to be on track here all night long. The battle up front remains calm, 0.8 of a second between first and second, and DJ Beverly has been able to stay in front of James Krahula, although they're not separating much in that battle. But how about Scott Austin in the 05? Started in 10th position. He's halfway to the front, up to 5th position, and maybe pressuring Jody Green in a couple of laps, just about 4 car lengths off.
And it was just one decision there, Evan, taking that outside on that cone car, moved that 05 up all of those positions, and now he's hanging around in the top 5, trying to track down the 13 of Jody Green. Just not going to be quite there yet, but John Ouellette, who has quite a bit of damage involved in our first caution in the truck series, he's going to be trying to track down that 05 machine. Going back up, nothing really changing in second place as DJ Beverly still fighting off James Krahula as he's going to let him go. Going down into turn 3, something going on with the 01 machine, but he took a sharp turn to that inside wall, and the 18 took advantage.
So that's how it's going to work out, and continuing to march up through the field now is Krahula in the 18 position, or rather in the 18, now back up at the number 2 position, and the 01's caught the fence a couple of times. He's got that noticeable damage up on the name rail on the passenger side of that truck. Maybe that continues to play a factor, and he continues to maybe try to hang on to the speed that he's got left in the car. Nonetheless, 11 trucks still on the lead lap, last of which is Matthew Tucker, who was involved in some of the contact on the first and only caution flying to this point. He's only a couple of laps in front of Christian Peterson before he gets lapped to 23. First opportunity for him to try to work around some lap traffic.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point, so already halfway to lap 40 on lap 21, and yeah, those lap cars, lap trucks could be a little bit troublesome, but we have seen that these guys can navigate through it pretty well here on a Monday night regular basis, but could make that interesting for Christian Peterson up to the front. I need guys towards the middle and back towards the pack, about second on back to around the 7th, 6th place, or they could almost throw them in a little, big blanket, not a little blanket, but they're all close to each other right now, and if any of them makes a small mistake, or if that lap traffic does start to be there. They will encounter it, and it could have some issues for these guys trying to get around it, or just trying to battle in general, as Jody Green's trying to fend off the 05 of Scott Austin. Austin's trying to get that position right there, but he was there on the inside for just a hair of a moment, had to back off right there. So this little group of guys is pretty close.
I thought Peterson might have been in a little bit of a tricky spot, because as he was catching up to lap Johnson, the 43 Michigan Tucker was there fighting with him. That battle breaks up though, and looks like Johnson going to lose his lead lap status. Tucker getting the next driver up in line as we continue to monitor this situation and battle for 4th position. And even behind Austin, we've been talking about how well he's been doing, started 10th and up to 5th, but even John Ouellette, he's made up one more position, started 12th and has also made his way halfway up, but that involved passing 6 drivers to run in 6th right now. Look how clean the 05 of Scott Austin's machine is, keeping the car in one apiece, working his way up to the field. Not quite the same story for the 81 of John Ouellette. It appears not to be hurting him, but he's barely got a front and back bumper.
Yeah, and he looked towards the inside right there. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, he looked right there towards the inside right there to try and make a move here, Chris. And I'd say that it's getting really close with these guys with the way he's been running. I'd say he'd be a little bit faster than him.
Yeah, his truck is starting to open it up here in the late lap. He's all over the back bumper of the 05 Scott Austin, trying to get on the inside. We've seen him try to go all the way down towards the wall on the inside, maybe trying to get some room there, but not going to quite get there. Going up just in front of them, Jody Green going to be getting to DJ Beverly, now going to be on the back bumper. So we're going to see a 3-car, maybe 4-car battle for these little pack shaping up here, Evan.
And as we watch this battle off for the race lead, only 12 laps to go this time by for Christian Peterson. He's in a pretty good position to try to ride out this storm. Krahula almost is pulling away from the fight. It was often Krahula Beverly going back and forth. Once Krahula was able to get by the 01, he's been able to pull away by about a second in that fight. So it really is on for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. DJ Beverly, Jody Green, Scott Austin. Let's throw P6 in there as well. John Ouellette, a 4-way fight. Those drivers the last time by only separated by 7/10 of a second.
You've got to think about how these guys' setups are starting to play out as well. These are open setups for these drivers, and after about 30 or so laps, coming to 31 here, whose setup is going to make it? Looks like he's going to look on the inside. John Ouellette, he throws it down in there. It may not stick. Oh, wow. What a save. He's going to keep it. Oh, and Austin behind him. He's going to be in the, he's going to be the pit wall.
Well, how about that? The 05 is stuck up on the barrels. It was the 81 who looked like he was going to be in all sorts of hurt, and it was Scott Austin who spun out behind him, and that car is jacked up and stuck on the entrance to pit road.
Yes, Evan, and normally that would be a caution per the iRacing rules, but when we're having these manual cautions, he was off the track and stuck up on the barrel, so no caution going to fly. We're still green. Christian Peterson, James Krahula, DJ Beverly going to be back there. Now Jody Green is going to fall off a little bit of DJ Beverly, so that just messed up that whole pack up and lengthened them out as we get close to wrapping this thing up.
So a very unique accident. It's always something that you're concerned about at some of these short tracks, whether the pit lane is in turn 3 or you've got a wall like that at many short tracks that the iRacing service it across America, in turn 4 and in turn 1. You've even got a couple where the pit road entrance is on the outside wall in turn 1. And we've seen strange incidents like happen before, very rare. And unfortunately, the driver who gets caught out on it this time around is taking a tow to pit lane and effectively ended his night. So that takes a car out of that on front, wrecking in front of the race leader. Wow, James Krahula, rather, in 2nd position, was in a really compromising position. The 43 at Tucker nearly spun out right in front of him, and they were about 5 feet away from making contact.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse than it was, and thank goodness for Krahula and many other guys behind him, because that would not have just been a single car incident. So those guys keeping it straight. Jody Green right now, he's putting heavy fire on DJ Beverly. Well, they only have a couple or a few more laps to go, per se, and Jody Green's trying the very bottom of the track right now, and I'd say those two are the battle to watch before this one's all over, and they're making a heck of a fight here, turning turns 3 and 4 with only a few laps left.
The 13 is really giving it on the inside. Beverly trying to hold on to that position, has the advantage of track position. I think the key is, and we saw this at the end of the Street Stock race, Chris, do not give up the inside.
You never want to give up the inside because that's just going to open it up, and then they can move you out of the way if they get there, if they so choose. So you never want to give up that inside line, especially at a track like Myrtle Beach where it's so important. Coming down to 2 laps to go here, Christian Peterson looks to be still controlling now, 5 seconds ahead of everybody, as there's been chaos these past few laps.
Chaos, but the race has stayed green, unlike what happened when Peterson was well out in front in the Legends earlier tonight when a piece of lap traffic in front of him, the 87 of Chuck Johnson, not going to be a factor. The 23's got enough of a gap, he can back it off and not have to worry about it. Second race of the night, second checkered flag for him, Christian Peterson. And at number 23, he'll take the checkered flag and win tonight's Super Trucks Division feature from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Kurhula safely in second, and Beverly going to be able to hang on to third in that fight with the 13.
Yeah, it was almost as soon as the guys started fighting behind Peterson that they were able to he was actually able to just, lengthen his lead tenfold because of the fact that you didn't have to worry about anybody in front or behind him. He could just run his line, and knowing the way he is with the setup, so I'm sure the set was really good as well. So got that lead, and then even when the restart happened, just was able to get clean air, and that's big. These leaders, these guys who get the pole, be watching for them in the remaining races because they are 3-0 right now at this point.
And on these restarts, the 23 was good on both of them. We saw it in the most recent race as well. Adams was able to get off and away, and once they get that jump, there's good fighting behind, side by side for second, oftentimes beating and banging a little bit, Chris, but when they spend that time fighting for second, by the time they figured that out, your leader's been able to get away.
And that's exactly what's happened through all 3 of these races so far, Evan. You get the leader gets such a great jump, you leave the 2 second place drivers side by side, and then the leader's just able to pull away. Nothing taken away from Christian Peterson. That's 2 races he's done tonight and 2 wins he's able to chalk up on the season opener. Great run for that driver.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to chat with the 23 a little bit earlier on, but we are now trackside with the driver of the number 23. But seeing Christian, congratulations, a win already tonight, but weren't able to chat with you then in the Legends, and now you got a win in the Super Trucks. That race looked like fun. Both of your wins tonight started from pole and were able to take off this one. 4.6 seconds of confidence in front of second.
Yeah, the truck was really good. I didn't really have much time to work on the setup today, but got in the final practice there and made a few changes in the daytime or whatever, late afternoon, and found some speed there. And when we got in here, I thought we were going to have like 5 minutes practice or something, but we didn't. So I kind of just threw some things at it, and it worked. It rotated and it drove off. So it was a good truck, and hopefully we can do it again next week.
It's going to be very difficult to compare a truck to a Legends car, but you look just as comfortable in both of them. What were kind of some of the unique characteristics of either or, and for 2 very different extremes of the spectrum? Smallest car we're going to see on the night, biggest car we're going to see on the night, having success in both.
Actually, I think the way the track is and the way my setups were, you could kind of drive it the same way. I could just barrel it off in the corner and wait for it to cut in the center, roll, and just kind of mat it, or not really mat it, but just 75% throttle until you get to the straightaway, and the thing was God. So same thing with the Legends car, just wait on the throttle a little bit, make sure you have your forward momentum going, but just don't spin tire, and you'll pull away from everybody.
2 wins on the night. We didn't get an opportunity to ask you earlier, so for this Super Truck win as well as the Legends, anybody want to say thanks to?
Just everybody, Vincier, everybody for coming out tonight. It's been fun so far.
We still have 2 races to go on the evening. You guys going to be racing again?
Yes, I think the late model stock is next or something. I will be in there.
Yes, sir. All right, you got you. Well, we'll let you take off. That one's going to be 100 laps, so much longer than what we've done so far to this point. So we'll let you get out of here and get prepped for that. Maybe we'll chat again soon. Good luck.
All right, thanks, Evan.
So that's your race winner in the Super Trucks. Let's take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for tonight's Super Trucks Division feature for week number 1. And Christian Peterson takes the win from pole, 4.6 seconds in front of James Kurhula, who comes home in second. And we watched the battle for third through very much, I think, the entire second half of that race. DJ Beverly comes out on top of that in third, Jody Green behind in fourth, and John Ouellette picks up a handful of positions. He's your biggest mover to come home in P5.
Brad Carpenter finishes in 6th. Tommy Ryan finishes in the 7th position. Matthew Tucker was first car lap down, and Chuck Johnson, he was let down as well, finishes 9th. John Lyday and Scott Austin finished 10th and 11th, and then Cody Leland finishes in the, looks like the 12th position tonight.
So that's a look at your Super Trucks results. We'll take another opportunity to step away as they clean off for the racetrack, and then we head to the longest race on the evening. The Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division is coming up next. It's a 100-lap feature for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. It's the second to last race of the night, and you are not going to want to miss it. You're watching the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, three wide action on a turn two. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the cars. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Back live from the Myrtle Beach Speedway as we get set for the main event on tonight's Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. Happy to have you with us still here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Legends, street stocks, and super trucks now have come and gone, and we get set for the longest race on the evening, 100 laps in the late models, and also what is by far and large, Coop, the biggest field size so far this evening.
Not only the biggest field, but it's also going to be the most competitive field we see out there tonight, is for the biggest reason that these are fixed setup cars. Each car out there is going to drive the exact same way. Well, they're going to have the exact same setup in the car, so there's absolutely no difference except for the drivers in these cars. So that's going to be really a pretty cool deal here, with the fact that you've got so many drivers. Definitely going to be a lot of skill at hand, and I'll say that we're going to have at least one big accident with as many drivers as we've got tonight. Going to be a quick cleanup as always, as we've seen tonight, but there's a lot of drivers here tonight, and I'd say at least a good amount of them will be in the pits or the garage before the end of the night.
And well, this is the main event on the night. Once the checkered flag flies, again, don't step away quite yet. Still one more race to come. Once this one comes to a conclusion, the U-Cars division featuring the Pontiac Solstice is going to get out there. 25 laps come up to the end of the evening. Coverage of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series in the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division is brought to you by Blue Ridge Napa. Napa is your trusted source for automotive parts, accessories, and know-how for your car, truck, or SUV. You can shop online for original OEM and replacement parts at www.napaonline.com. Obviously, the biggest thing into these cars is what we were talking about, how the trucks aren't necessarily made for a joint like this. These things very much are. This, I think, Chris, may be the most excited race on the night.
It really is. We put in the amount of laps we have, which is 100, plus the amount of cars we have in this race, and all the skill level being put on one setup. It's gonna be wild here tonight, Evan, and I'm really excited. This might just be one of the best races we have all night.
For one, Michael Held is going to start on pole position. That's good news. In fourth position, row number 3, P5 will be Austin to the outside.
Pace car driver, now late model driver, Jacob Porter starts in 11th place. Jody Green will start 12th, with Nathan Hurlburt making a return to the series. He'll start in the 13th position. Mark Herzog will start in the 14th position, with David Rogers starting 15th. Al Smith Jr., he will start in the 16th position. Jonathan Smith, 17th. James Krahula, third race of the night. 18th, John Hayne, 19th, and John Lyday will start 20th.
21st belongs to James Finn. Shad Kern going to come in that 22nd spot. 23rd belongs to Jonathan Lawrence. Tyler Vickery is going to be 24th. Randy Yoakum, 25th. 26th, Jeremy Watkins. Craig Blair, 27th. 28th is going to be Roy Blum. And rounding out your 29 car field, Jonathan Repack.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. Lights out on top of the base car this time by. Let's remind you just what this Myrtle Beach Speedway brings to the table. A racetrack that clocks in at just a little bit over half a mile in distance at 0.538 of a mile at asphalt surface. Bank it into quarters at 13 degrees. 4 on the front stretch, 3 on the back straightaway. Watch for the fight to get down to the inside of the racetrack. Field is going to be in the hands of the 55 Held as we are stacked up 15 rows deep for tonight's 100 lap late models division feature. This race is brought to you by Blue Ridge Napa. Pace car is off. Here comes the 55 at a quarter number 4. Green flag flies and we are racing from Myrtle Beach.
29 late models dive themselves down in turn 1. and they will get racing here. Battles all over the place, 2x2 throughout this large field. Here we have 100 laps tonight, and they are already going at it. Tommy Ryan fending off already 2 guys as they get single file all out through the front. Still 2x2 for it looks like the top 10 positions, as Jacob Porter looks like he's got a couple positions on already.
And a single file going to bring you all the way back to 7th. Tommy Ryan coming across the start-finish line single file. The 26 behind him, but Brandon Wilkinson just completes a pass on Eric Spencer for 8th position. And the 26 now going to look up the try to get on the 6. He'll go to the inside, and now side by side for 7th position we go. Ryan on the top side going to be tough to defend. Does a good job of keeping the 26 honest. They're nose to nose.
Brandon Wilkins doing a great job moving up through the field. He's going to try and clear Tommy Ryan coming off the corner, but Tommy Ryan's still going to keep that nose right there on that right rear quarter panel, but Brandon Wilkinson going to take that position with ease. That's going to boot him up into the 7th place position. Now he's going to be looking towards Ricky Harden and that 15 machine going up through your field just a little bit more. Everybody seems to be single file out. Not what we're really used to here early on. And we're normally having side-by-sides battle for the second, but this is the closest they've been able to keep up with that leader. Even though Michael Held is up to a 5/10 lead, they are still trying to keep up with him.
Everybody from top to 28th position got off and away on the lead lap. James Carhula, the only driver who has lost his lead lap status. He's 1 lap down in 29th position. Up front, not a whole lot going on. Held holds a 5/10 of a second advantage, and now 6/10 over top. Jeremy Adams, who runs in the number 2 position. There's a lot going on, though, throughout the pack. The 96 of Al Smith Jr., another familiar name here on LSRTV. He just now making a pass on the 75 of John Hine in 15th position. That one in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, seeing a lot of faces throughout the LSRTV and iRacing community here tonight. Al Smith, obviously from upstate, coming here, and with that little collaboration that they had, definitely is really cool to see him race here, and Barnes race with their league. So that's awesome to see those guys race together in each other's league here now, and they're still fighting side by side. The 75 of John Hayne, he's still on the outside, and look, maybe 3 wide, maybe not be the best decision on lap 8, but these guys, 3-car battle here for looks like the 15th and 16th spots. Doesn't matter where you are in the field, they're going for it and trying to get their positions.
And what I'm really looking forward to is we get a little bit later on in the calendar year as the 75 gets tight on the fence that time. Smith is going to be able to clear him, and now Rogers is going to go to the inside. Is not only with the Cars Esport Tour running with us on Wednesdays, but now also this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series every other week as well. Once Al Smith Jr. and the Upstate Racing guys get underway, we'll have it every night of the week. Caution flag is going to come out as we checking things up. Problems in quarter number 4, and a lot of smoke coming out on one of the drivers that's slow on the inside of the racetrack. It's still issues under caution. It's been out for a while. Rogers just now got tagged as he came back up the track in front of the 3. The 3, I think, is the one who was dumping all the smoke.
It's going to start all the way back coming off of turn 2, Evan, as they get contact made between the 73 and the 3 of Jacob Porter going off down into turn 3. Got that 3 bent all out of shape, and he was able to hold on to it for a while going down into turns 3, but finally just lost it, and they were wrecking for a long time coming down the front straightaway, just collecting so many cars, so much carnage going down the front straightaway. All started from just a little bit of contact coming down the back straightaway.
And then Al Smith Jr. just got wrecked under the caution flag as well. He had some sort of an issue in line, got tapped by, I think, the 29 of John Lyday, and Smith got some back-end damage from that under the caution flag. So a little bit of chaos breaking down here all of a sudden. Caution flag is going to bridge us over the opening 10 laps of this race. But as we slow things down for the first time, Michael Held will pace the field.
Yeah, I had a good feeling that once one of these drivers were going, if any driver had a slight issue, that it would start to create that effect. And it's such a slow deal that I think that's why we had a lot of these cars start to pile in. Not because of how many cars we had. Of course, it's going to definitely not make it any easier for these guys to avoid it. But when it's such a small wreck, and then people just start to slow down to maybe get around it, hoping that it clears up, and then it doesn't, and that's when these drivers start to get into trouble. So that's definitely exactly what happened. And with as many drivers as we had, going from 29 to 24 now on the lead lap, and that's just the drivers who are currently out there. A lot of these guys could still have damage and are continuing to try and stay out there, but a large field can produce that kind of action here on the field.
Right, and once you get 2 cars sideways, that basically blocks up the entire racetrack that you got, and there's nowhere for anybody else to try to be able to work around, and that's why you see everybody in the back get into such a tricky situation. On the outside of the racetrack, looks like Shad Curran going to get away by the 33, will now become the 25th car on the lead lap as he goes by that time. And again, the field is currently being paced by the 55 of Michael Held. Pace car not out on the racetrack for this one. It'll be back for the one coming up later on for the U-Cars division. You just saw the cone car go out. Same rules as always. Drivers going to come by the start-finish line single file, have an opportunity to choose inside or the outside.
And I think this race right here, Evan, is where the cone car is going to be playing a huge factor. Because like you mentioned, 25 cars on the lead lap. That's the biggest field we've had tonight. And with this cone car, you can make up a lot of positions. We saw it with the 05 in the last race, making all that position up and then riding around in the top 5. So the cone car can make a huge difference as we got a leader choosing the outside for the first time tonight. That's going to move the 30 of Christian Peterson up to the front row on the inside. So not normally what we're used to here, but now the Michael Held machine's got to hold it from the outside.
A very interesting decision by the number 33 as we get set to go back this time. Let's see. Peterson going to try to get him top side. He can't do it that time of the corner, but hey, the 55 can take the outside for a restart. Why can't the 30 take the outside to the race lead? Nonetheless, inside still looks like it's the place to be, and Held will hold that position by 1.5 car lengths. Now Peterson needs to worry about Jeremy Adams because as the 30 was focusing on the 55, that 89 got pretty close to him from third.
Yeah, this is the first time all night, Evan, that we've seen a battle for the lead, and who better to bring the battle to the front than Christian Peterson in that 30, already having 2 wins on the night chalked up on the board for him, so he's having a good night looking to bring number 3 home. But with that battle, he brought the 89 of Jeremy Adams, and even the 31 is going to be joining the mix here. So a lot of drivers able to stay up towards the front as Michael Held still commanding this field, trying to hold that defensive line, goes low as he can so Christian Peterson doesn't get that opportunity to sneak low.
And you have that wall again as an advantage down in 3 and 4. If somebody tries to walk you down and cheat you just a little bit too much, they're going to find themselves into the concrete barrier. But it's in turn 1 maybe where somebody can get to your left rear quarter panel, maybe loosen you up a little bit, move you, and then be able to take away that preferred position on the inside of the racetrack. But I think the biggest key in this one is it is the longest race of the season, so there's still 77 laps to go as the next time by. But your pole sitter's not running away with this one. Even though Peterson and Adams are there, look at the 30, what a Carpenter. 0.6 of a second off. Ricky Harden in 5th is only a second off. There's really nobody up front getting away as here comes the 30. Looking to the inside. Can't get it that time. Now the center of the corner tries again. 0 for 2 that lap.
Oh, he's going to hit the outside wall. That was the opportunity that the 30 is now going to have on the outside lane. A lot of damage on the right side of Michael Held. They fought real hard, and he pushed it really hard in the corner, and looks like Peterson's actually going to be able to get it at the line right there. So that's the first time we've seen leader actually have that issue, but he's going to be able to clear him right out of turns number 2. So going back and forth here for the lead, going to turns number 3 and 4, and Jeremy Adams is right there, and so is everyone else. This is when we're probably going to see a lot of drivers start to have company with the leaders.
He'll do it over the 30 on the outside, and what does the 89 do in this scenario? Does he choose higher bottom or does he wait? Peterson, great run down the back straightaway. Can he clear the 55 ahead? He'll have the shorter way around the corner, but the 30 off, caution flag will fly just as that 30 completes the pass for the race lead. Somebody was spinning down the back straightaway.
Yeah, a little bit of mix-up going on here. It's going to be hard to see where that's coming from. It's going to be the 26th of Brandon Wilkinson and that Kirkwood Transportation Services number 26 machine. Going to be on the outside of the 01. Just gets a little bit of contact between Tommy Ryan, sent off down on the inside wall. Luckily, he only tapped the inside wall just a bit, so he's able to get it turned back around and going again. So really unfortunate for that 26 machine. He was on a roll. He was moving his way up in 6th at the point and looking for 5th.
Unfortunately for the 26, he went for a spin, just kissed the inside fence. Could have been worse. He'll be able to get back going, but he will drop to the back of the running order. So driver single file things out as they come by the entry to the pit lane. Everybody up front going to continue to stay out on the racetrack. And if that caution had come out maybe 2 laps sooner, Michael Held would still be your race leader. But Peterson just cleared him by the time that flag dropped.
Yeah, I'd say for Held, he's probably just in a position where he's struggling just a tiny bit. Pace or cone cars coming out there. You can see at the very bottom of the track. I think that 55 is, with the amount of damage he's got on the right side, and as hard as he looks like he's pushing through the corner, he's going to have to try and get that lead back and then try and block, because Christian Peterson not flawlessly got to his outside and got around him, but definitely got there. And once he was there, he did kind of pull away a little bit. So it'll be I'll be looking forward to seeing if he can get back up there. Also seeing which way these guys take the cone here. It was definitely something I wasn't expecting the first time for the leader to take the outside. Christian Peterson, he'll go to the inside, and the first driver to the outside is Jeremy Adams.
And again, everybody tries to... I mean, it's about a car to the inside, a car to the outside here and there. If you do take the outside, you're probably going to gain a couple of spots doubling up because the preferred lane is the bottom. The idea is, though, that somebody would rather become the 4th car in line on the inside than the 3rd car in line on the outside, because the inside is the place to be on the restarts. Peterson will decide to choose the inside for this one. So Michael Held, who took us to the green flag on the last restart, he'll be to the inside as well behind the 30. He abandons the outside lane. Green flag flies as we go back underway. 30 laps complete and 70 laps to go. 30 is off and away, but the side-by-side fight is for 2nd. Here comes the 55 of Held, but he can't hang on. How about Adams, topside to 2nd?
Yeah, Adams putting up a really good fight to stay up there in that 2nd place position. Now he's got to get his sights focused on Christian Peterson, because we know how well that car can just drive off and get those great jumps on the restarts, and then it's smooth sailing for him. So they got to stay up with him, and Jeremy Adams has proven that he can do just that. Going back through the field just a little bit, got some contact between the 01 of DJ Beverly and the John Lyday and the 29. Got a side-by-side battle just below them. Jody Green going to be trying to get through there, side-by-side, push it up. Got to get hard on the brakes not to slide up into the 29. There's a huge pack going 2x2 from 7th on back.
And those drivers just can't get separated from each other. The 13 is leading that first side-by-side fight, good into the corner, but the 29 good off of the corner. So no advantage either way as Lyday on the outside wins that battle to the line. But again, still not getting clear. They draw even in the setup of the quarter. So the inside we were talking about, get to the inside, get to the inside. Well, top side, pretty good in that one as Lyday wins the battle for 9th. And we'll see what happens amongst the battle for 10th. We'll see if the 75 behind can do the outside.
Oh, while that's going on, there was a little bit of contact with some drivers getting the outside wall, so they'll be pretty far behind. No caution out for that. So if you see the smoke, that's why. And the 73 right there is really tight on corner exit, so he's still on the inside of the 75 right there, and still doing battle, trying to get that position, trying to make the inside work, but it's not going to, at least at the moment. Still has the inside until right now at 75. He's going to get that position. We've seen him run 2 races already tonight. He's done a good job so far trying to get into that top 10. He just did so.
Single file inside of the top 10 now just for a brief moment. Still Christian Peterson out in front off for the restart with Adams in 2nd and Held in the number 3 position. A lot going on though just behind there. 4th spot is Brad Carpenter and 5th is Ricky Harden. They've been all over each other off of the restart. Nobody's made a move yet. They remain bumper to bumper, and got a familiar name, Harden, behind him. He's got a friend in Tommy Ryan, the Unacceptable Racing guys, in fifth and sixth position on the racetrack. But we'll see if they try to get anything going. Nice and tight. The top 6 cars still all within a second and a half of the race lead. Just nobody doubled up.
Yeah, and just behind them, we got a battle for the 10th place position with the 73 of Eric Spencer, John Hine. And then just behind them, that 96 of Al Smith Jr. He knows these short tracks all too well. He's trying to get up there and make a move towards the inside. Again, is held into the wall once again. Gonna allow the 15 contact up into the wall. They're gonna keep it saved. What a save by the 15 and the 55. Now the 55 is gonna try to battle back and almost get into the contact with the 15 once again, trying to make that move split between the 29 and the 15. So now held, didn't really lose too much, but now he's going to get held up by that 74 machine. So held all over the place. Got to get that car under control.
So through all of that, the 55 gets roughed up on the outside of the 15, gets into the wall, and then passes him back on the inside of the racetrack to get back into the number 6 position. Big win in all of that is DJ Beverly, who was behind the likes of Ryan and Harden when I was talking about them, and he's been able to get by 2 of those names to get back to where he started this race in 5th position. Here comes the 29 of John Lyday to the outside of the 50 to Harden. Biggest mover on the night, started in 20th position and has been using the outside of the racetrack to pick up spots. He looks for another on the 15.
Yeah, look at these 2 drivers go at it right now. That, like you said, 29's on the outside. He's looking forward to it, but like the 55 is going to hold him up on the outside. That 55 has crushed the wall multiple times tonight, and it's not going to last. That 55 car is just struggling right now, trying to get as much speed as he got, but the 15 in front of him, like you said, that's Ricky Harden trying to get that inside worked up. The 55, he's not doing so hot right now. He's losing spots and losing the parts of his car throughout the corners as he's hit the wall a few times. And right now, he's still done a really good job keeping it in the top 10. Wow, look at the outside move by the 29. He's absolutely flew by the 15 right there. And he's going to easily get that spot here in turns 3 and 4.
And kind of tough for us to predict just how good the 29 is because we've got no warm-up times to look at as Helmet is shot to the back of Held that time, trying to find a way through. But, I mean, Lyday started way back in 20th, but that was a fantastic run off of the corner, and it doesn't look like he only wants to go to the top side as he looks for any way on the 55. Look at this on the inside. Fantastic run off of the corner. The 29 just hooks up so well, center off.
As contact between gonna move the 55 out of the way. John Lyday was tired of waiting behind him, gets through him. Now they're gonna have to battle between the 15 and the 55 is gonna get contact with him. So people trying to move the 55 of Michael Held out of the way to get clear, not gonna quite work out as they're side by side. But look at John Lyday still running that outside line even when there's nobody around him. And I want to give a quick little insight because we've done 3 races so far on this track, as well as many cars as there are on this racetrack so far. You're going to see that outside line start to come in, Evan. You're going to see cars starting to move up there to make their passes, and it's really proven a benefit for that 29 machine.
Indeed it has, and he's gotten away from now what's the most exciting battle. Look at the 55 and a 15. 2 pieces of contact that lap alone, and how the 15 of Harden repays the favor. He'll go back to the inside of the Home Depot entry of Held, who has had a rough go. These 2 drivers just can't seem to get away from each other. It is a fight for what's 6th and 7th position on the racetrack at the moment. The 13 is right there as well. Jody Green from the 8th spot wanting to be a part of this, but if those 55 and the 15 guys don't get away from each other, so one of them may end up in a fence.
Yeah, well, these guys have just been battling for so long, and it's not over yet. He gives him another shot, and man, if I was either one of these guys, I would make sure that there's no way that they could get back to me. So these 2 guys are still roughing it out, and you know, the more they do this, the more they're actually gonna get passed by these drivers. I mean, the 29 passed them both, and you got Jody Green, the 13 car. He might actually get around them as well if he gets up to them, but you know, for as hard as they're racing, you know, they're at least still keeping their heads on their shoulders and not going out for blood, at least at the moment, just going over halfway right now. And at 15, Ricky Harden, he's had multiple chances to, I'd say, dump him, and has not done that. In the 55, equally as much. So these guys still hard racing, really losing those leaders, 5 seconds behind, but good action here this whole time with at least a little bit of respect on the track.
I think that you have to be able to walk a fine line of being able to go aggressive side by side, maybe make a little bit of contact every once in a while still not just straight sending somebody into the corner. Eric Spencer in the 73 now is side by side. Jonathan Smith going to get the better of him in a battle for 11th position again on the outside of the racetrack. Now you see the 96 of Al Smith Jr. go to the top side. We've got 2 sets of 2x2 back here around P10.
Yeah, and it's only shaping up here, crossing the halfway point in this race. Lap 54 now, Evan, everybody trying to make their way towards the front. This race is going by very, very fast, and these drivers know. Look at Al Smith Jr. charging on the outside to the outside of the 75. Now 3 wide going off into turn 1. Is that going to stick? Al Smith Jr. gets some contact, but he's going to be able to power off, get some contact with the 73 of Spencer. Spencer goes down towards the grass, but able to hang on. Loses a whole bunch of track position for that 73 machine.
And Herzog, just one of the names that's going to be able to get around him, but Spencer's going to end up in 14th position by the time he gets all 4 tires back underneath him. That's 6 spots behind where he started this race earlier on. Side by side in front of him, Al Smith Jr. getting sideways as he tried to work to the inside of John Hine. That one's not going to work. The 75 will maintain 11th position, and now Herzog trying to put it to Al Smith, who will try to defend to turn 1, leaves the inside open, and here comes the 5-7.
We've got to a point in the race where if you make a move on somebody, these guys are so clustered together that you've got to make that move count, because somebody behind you is going to capitalize. Almost like one of those, like an Indianapolis or a Pocono with the short track feeling is, once you make that move, if you don't make it, you are going to have somebody breathing down your neck to try and capitalize. Look at the 73 again, going the outside of the 57. He's trying to get that position back. And look at Al Smith Jr. going back inside of the 75 as well. These 4 right here, these 5, you can throw. It looks like James Finn, he's been quietly moving in the distance. These guys are still going 2 by 2. If anything happens between them, he's got to make sure he maneuvers around whatever happens, but he should be able to get that. And it looks like Eric Spencer does make the move around after getting loose on the exit of 2. All right, lap 60 is what we're going to be on here this time by 40 laps next time to go, and great racing all over the place.
Indeed it has, and talking about those fights off of the restart, all of a sudden, as you noted, it brings us to 40 laps to go in this race. 22 cars total still scored on the lead lap. The difference between first and second on a racetrack is 0.7 of a second, as Christian Peterson continues to lead over Adams. Held, though, is somebody who's really been struggling in that 55, but again, we've been talking about how he's been fighting with Harden. Don't forget, though, this is a driver who started on pole position in this race. He's gotten roughed up a little bit, back end damage, a little bit of front end damage, and he's still not even in the clear there. He may fall outside of the top 10 because he's got Jody Green and Jonathan Smith right there, really in a spot to make a move.
And Jody Green's been close to that back bumper these past few laps here, Evan, as he's trying to make his move. See if he wants. You can see the damage to the back end of the 55 from where the contact, and we've mentioned how big contact's going to be here tonight. As the contact goes, 55 going to be sideways just a little bit. The 13's going to squeak by on the inside. That's going to give the position to Jody Green. Now Jonathan Smith going to be sizing up the 55, going to try to go towards the outside line. Not going to quite be there, as the 55 is going to pull up in front of him, so give that position to Jody Green, move him up to the 8th position.
A lot going on in the mid-pack. John Lade, after making a couple of those moves that we were talking about, it's up to a race-high P6, but even he's not out of trouble because Ricky Harden is trying to close in on him. 35 laps to go from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. This, the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division feature for week number 1 on the season. Again, when the checkered flag comes out in this one, still one more race to go with the U-Cars Division feature in the Pontiac Solstice. Is that one going to be 25 laps to cap off tonight? So again, when the checkered flag flies here, we are not quite done on the evening, but plenty still to be decided in this race, including maybe the battle for the race lead. Jeremy Adams has slowly but surely been closing the gap in for P1 and 2, which now sits at just 0.6 of a second.
With as closely as those guys work together, I think it's going to be real fun to see those two battle it out. It's been a while since we've seen Jeremy Adams fight against Christian Peterson for the top spot. And it seems it's almost like a few months ago that in the Cars Eat Sports Tour that he was able to get a win in the late model stock division, but now he's looking out. But we're going to have a caution here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, and where is it going to be? I'm unsure. Looks
Someone's
like
down in the
Wilkinson.
Yeah, the 26 of Wilkinson, second time tonight, he's found himself in trouble. This time he took a drive through Victory Lane, a little bit premature. The car got up into the outside fence. As we take a second look at the LSRTV replay, that one coming at lap number 67, just tagged the fence. Pretty good hit from 14th position on track and spun down into the grass. Caution flag will come out, and we will slow things down right on the doorstep. 30 laps to go. That completely changes the complexion of this race because, Chris, I was just starting to notice the lap times between Peterson and Adams get a lot closer. And, in fact, the last few times around before that yellow, that driver in second was the fastest of the two. This restart can put them side by side.
Yeah, and this is going to be very, very interesting just to see if Jeremy Adams can keep up with that 30 of Christian Peterson, who's been dominant pretty much all night in the two races that he's running. Now going to have some trouble from that 89, and then Brad Carpenter and Tommy Ryan, their battle was starting to heat up, so it's going to stack everybody up just once again, just shy of 30 laps to go. So we'll see how everything plays out, and it's about to get wild.
Basically, everything that we were talking about earlier on tonight about how this is going to be the longest feature race of the season no longer matters. This is now the street stocks finish. 30-lap race as of the next time by the start-finish line. Doesn't matter where you started. What it matters is where you run now. You got somebody like a pole sitter, Michael Held, who's back in 10th. You've got somebody like a John Lyday, who started in 20th, that is running up in 6th position. Doesn't matter how you got here. Now is your opportunity to do something about it. And maybe we would see a handful of drivers take the outside when we come by the cone car, maybe just to try to get them in a side-by-side fight, because I think with the rubber that's been put down, the top is no longer at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to be almost, I wouldn't say it's equal, and it's hard to say which lane at this point in the race would be the preferred one to go to. I'd always say it's the bottom, just because you're kind of in charge of your own destiny. You can, if you're on the outside, you don't know what the driver on the inside is going to do, but with that cone car coming out the next time, we're definitely going to see that these guys are going to make probably the most gutsy of the calls. And I say we might actually just get an even restart here with guys wanting to protect what they have, wanting to protect the inside or the outside or just their position in general. You know, we're going to see the 2, 4, 6, 8 guys probably just stay the outside, regardless, because of how late in the goings it is.
Just taking a listen in on race control audio here so we can let you know when we're going to get the 2 to go and evidently the 1 to go for the restart as the field paces behind Christian Peterson. Race leader has to keep us at a 40-mile-an-hour pace speed as we get set to get underway for what could be a final race restart on tonight. Let's take a quick look top to bottom at how they run right now. Christian Peterson, Jerry Adams, Brad Carpenter, Tommy Ryan, and DJ Beverly are your top 5. John Lade, Ricky Harden, Jody Green, Jonathan Smith, and Michael Held, top 10.
All right, they're in 11th, Al Smith Jr. You got John Hain, Brendan Wilkinson, Mark Herzog, and James Finn in the top 15 as these guys are going around the cone car. Looks like Christian Peterson actually is going to take the outside lane here, guys.
He's done it, well, we saw earlier in this race, I guess we saw Held do it in the 55, but it worked out. Let's see what Christian Peterson can do with it. It worked out last time. I don't think that's a bad call by the 30, and Adams taking the inside lane, which means that our race leaders will come across the start-finish line side by side. Does the 89 have enough to do it? Green flag flies. 27 laps to go in our late models division feature. Clear on the outside. Peterson going to go to the race lead.
Peterson able to get such a great jump like he's done all night long. Just behind them, the battle between Carpenter and Ryan heating up, and then the 15 of Harden and Beverly side by side. Oh, Ryan in the floor, caution.
David Machine, Craig Blair turned around, and that is a lot of damage as he got into the 90 machine. We'll take a second look in just a minute on the LSRTV replay. It happened at lap number 74. Coming out of turn number 2. I think the 7 thought he was clear. Maybe the 90 came down just a little bit. Nonetheless, this driver's an avoidable mistake, running way back in 20th position, get tangled up, and they both end up pretty hard into the outside fence. And then when Watkins came down the track, he tags Rory Blum, who got a piece of something he was not a part of.
Yeah, the 90 made pretty two big mistakes there of coming down the track and then not holding it towards the wall, because that was both of those I think were avoidable. Nonetheless, that's going to bring an end to some of these drivers tonight. And Eric Spencer, what an incredible job of barely hitting the driver, but it didn't look like it did a whole lot of damage to the left side. And I know he's all the way back in 21st right now, but still did an incredible job of actually stopping on the track here. Did not go through the wreck as quickly and hazardous as it could have been. So 73 is going to make it through, still all the way back there in the pack, but might be able to get a chance at redemption with the cone car coming out with 2 laps to go.
Option was available that last time by for drivers to come down to the pit lane. Obviously, nobody up front wants to come down pit road 2 to go to the restart. That time by the start-finish line. So you'll see the code car come out of the back straightaway, and now Barnes piloting that machine. Going to park to the start-finish line, and your race leader is going to have the opportunity to choose inside or outside lane. We'll see if the 30 goes for the top side once more. It worked pretty good on that last run. I'd see no reason to mix it up if it seemed to be successful.
And this is really the first time all night where we've seen the outside play a factor. Normally, everybody's wanting to hug that wall and stay on that inside and try to protect that line, but now they have to protect both lines here, Evan, as the outside's starting to come in as they come across the cone again. It looks like Christian Peterson going to stay on the outside, and Jeremy Adams going to put it down on the inside, so nothing really going to change on the front row.
We'll see how this shakes out. Eric Spencer going to catch up to the back of the pack as your race leaders all doubled up. So very similar situation to what we saw just a handful of laps ago. That one was with 27. This one will be with 22 left to go on the clock. 22 cars also on the lead lap. A lot could happen as we're doubled up 11 rows deep. Christian Peterson looking to get his 3rd win on the evening. On the outside, the challenger is the 89 of Jeremy Adams. Here they come, slowly at a turn number 4. There goes the 30, an even better restart this time than he had last. He's clear to turn 1.
And he takes such a wide approach to turn 1 right there that I think it's going to be extremely difficult to beat anybody on the outside of these restarts. As 89 of Jeremy Adams, we noted that he was better on that long run, started to actually catch him, but now he's already going to be quite a few back. He's going to be about 6-7 car lengths. He's also got that number 6 of Tommy Ryan that's going to start breathing down his neck as well. So half a second already is the lead that Christian Peterson has over these guys, and the battle for, it looks like, the top 5 is getting pretty interesting as well. DJ Beverly is trying to get inside Chad Carpenter, may give him a bump there. There's a large pack of guys right here.
And behind him, he got Hardin, Lade side by side once more. The 29, as always, on that outermost lane of the racetrack. 15 in the 01 got real tight that time into the corner as Hardin tried to force his way to the inside. Wasn't able to make it stick, and Beverly, for the moment, hangs on to 5th position. But you've got everybody stacked up. Adams is closely tailed by Ryan. He's closely tailed by Carpenter. And then you've got Beverly and a side by side between the 15 and the 29. The one outlier is Christian Peterson, 0.8 of a second in front in P1.
Yeah, he's been able to pull away on these restarts all night. Evan, he's doing the same thing here. Jeremy Adams still fast on that long run, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to get that car the way he wants it. We had a side-by-side battle between Ricky Hardin and John Lyday, but Lyday able to forfeit that position and single in. But just behind them, Jody Green, Jonathan Smith doing side-by-side battle, and look behind them, Brandon Wilkinson trying to sneak into the picture. He's had some trouble here. Now he's back up in the top 10, so he's going to be looking to make some move on these drivers as they try to settle out here back through the top 10.
Running out of time left in this race. 16 laps to go the next time by as we see side by side inside at the top 10. continuing with the 23 machine. Smith on the outside, and how about Brandon Wilkinson, as they're involved in 2 caution flags tonight, and just recently, less than 10 laps ago, he is in 10th position and hanging on.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible when you can have 2 things like that happen to you, and it can really set you back, but then get right back into the thick of it. And so he's going right there on the outside of Jody Green, trying to get that position, but he's also got to look out on his inside. 26 is also going to be right there. And, or sorry, that's actually him right there. He's trying to get the inside of the 23. I got them mixed up for a second. He's trying to get the inside of the 23. That was Jonathan Smith trying to get on the outside of Jody Green. Those 3 still doing a real hard battle coming out of 4 right there. And then imagine that 26 is at least trying to get salvage the top 10. Maybe get one more if he can by the end of the night. But like we've been saying, it's starting to tick down. The hour is almost nigh. So these guys only have so much time left.
And it looks like, as you noted, for a brief moment, everybody is single file inside of the top 10. In fact, looks like top to bottom, everybody in agreement for the time being. If there's any moment in this race in which you're going to get a little bit overzealous and maybe see just what that chrome horn can do, this is going to be the time to do it with 12 laps to go as to the next time by. Closest fight may be for 4th between Brad Carpenter and DJ Beverly. They run nose to tail at the moment. The 0-1 is yet to make a move, but they may be the most susceptible for a battle.
Yeah, and just behind them, Harden trying to sneak into the battle. So we might see that chrome horn, as you say, get put to use, and I don't see why not. Just in front of them, a battle for seconds looking to shape up between Jeremy Adams and Tommy Ryan in that 6 machine. He's been all over the back bumper of Adams for the past few laps, trying to maybe size up, make a move. But he can do so well off the exit of the corner as you see him get back up to the back bumper of the 89 machine. Brad Carpenter going to have to try to defend the outside from DJ Beverly, but not going to work. Caution's out.
Issues on the back straightaway. Caution flag is out, and I think it might have been that somebody in front of the 3 of Jacob Porter. It's the 4, Randy Oakham, turned around, coming out of quarter number 2. The yellow's going to come right at 10 laps to go, and that was not unassisted.
Yeah, looks like the 73 just got in, and 4 had a knock. Odd line, but the 73 was still on the inside. It's hard to say which driver is really at fault there. I mean, when you're getting to this close to the end of the race, it's got to be there's not a lot of give and take here, or there's not a lot of give. There's practically only take at this point. So 73 did what he thought he needed to do, I think, on the inside, and then the 4 thought he was going to be able to power off. So hard to see from the angles that I'm seeing it from, but nonetheless, 73 gets into him, spins him around. Going to see how race control treats that. Look like he's going to be at the end of the line, 21st place.
And it was a weird one because Yoakum did leave the inside open, but it was about 3/4 of a width of a car. So, you know, you kind of teased the 73 with it, and Spencer went to make the move, and he just wasn't able to fit it into that position. Those 2 get together, and a yellow flag comes out. This time by 2 laps to go for the restart. The number 78 machine in that incident is given to the driver who ends up being deemed the cause of that car, the 73 of Spencer. So Hilly's going to be the one, as you said, to drop to the back in 21st position, and that's going to put him at the tail end of the lead lap. So maybe for the final time, Chris, 6 laps to go.
I don't count anything out, especially with how, you know, the aggressive these drivers have been early on in this race. Anything can happen. They're going to stack them up. Once again, we're going to get down to this cone, and we'll see how we'll see if Christian Peterson chooses the outside once again. It's proven well for him the past 2 times. So as he approaches the cone, it looks like he's going to be shading the inside this time. Maybe go with that defensive line with the 6 laps to go. No, going to choose the outside line. So the front row going to stay the same as they come across the cone.
They've decided which lane each driver is going to start on. The 30 once again decided the outside of the racetrack, and once again to the inside goes Jeremy Adams. He needs to stay on that 30's inside to the corner. If he doesn't and Peterson gets clear, I think that 6-man Motorsports Chevrolet SS is going to be able to run off in a sunset on this one with just 6 laps to go on the scoring pylon. Is this going to be the final restart on tonight's late models division feature? The pace car is down and in. The 30 and the 89 side by side at a quarter number 4 as there we go. Peterson once again gets the advantage.
Yeah, big advantage by him, and then The two drivers behind the three drivers. Looks like a lot of contact in the middle of that pack. They all keep it straight. 2 by 2 for the 6 of the 31 right there. That's going to be Brad Carpenter and Tommy Ryan in the 15. Ricky Harden, he chose the outside despite having a spot on the inside to take on that last time. He's going to try and get the outside line hooked up as the 31 of Carpenter tries the very bottom, but looks like the bottom might be used up at this point in the race. He's going to maybe give him a shot. Side by side that in the back straightaway.
And as that battle continues on, the 15 trying to get clear on the outside. The 31 going to keep it up against the wall. Run off to the corner should give Harden an advantage. He was a little bit loose, though, and he is not going to clear him. At this point, as of the next time by, only 3 laps left to go from Myrtle Beach. A yellow would effectively end this race. And Adams appears to be just too little too late.
Yeah, that one caution really proved spoil for his race. He was getting faster on that long run, and now he just can't do it. Caution's out on the racetrack. Gonna be stacking them up. It looks like maybe the 75 of John Hine gonna be involved.
Is one of the drivers involved. Let's see, the 29 and the 57 have gotten together, and this field is going to be red flagged. So if we were to stay under caution flag conditions, we would not get an opportunity to go back into green flag conditions. So the red flag is going to come out, stop the cars, get the drivers involved in the accident cleared up and down to the pit lane. And we may, because of that, and this is one of the advantages of having a manual caution, not relying on the iRacing automatic yellow flags, that we could get this race back under green.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty close. I don't know if we'll have 2. We'll at least have 1 lap at this rate. Going back and looking at the accident we just had, the 29 absolutely was just thrown into the corner by the 57. 57 thought it was going to be able to stick down to the bottom of the track, taking a couple more looks at it. Looked like he may have had it, but he just came back almost 2 entire car lengths to get into that position. And at a short track, it's not really something that you can do. It's kind of one of those racing deals, I'd say a lot, but he did push the issue going to the corner extremely hot, but nonetheless, that does put us under that red flag.
You can see the lap cars getting waved by on the outside of the racetrack as we sit under red flag conditions. Once the drivers are given the yellow and begin to roll once again at the start-finish line, it will be 2 laps to go. So that I assume that we'll be waiting for that cone car to get to the start-finish line, and it'll stop in the middle. Then they'll have to determine which lane they're going to take, and then we're going to have to get going and come right to the green flag in a 1-lap shootout.
Yeah, that cone car is going to be coming out right now. You see it passing Christian Peterson on the outside, and now Peterson, they're going to get these cars back rolling, get those positions, get them racked up, and have a 1-lap shootout here tonight. Evan decided all. The nerves have got to be running wild for that 30 machine, who's been pretty well on the restarts, but he's got to have 1 perfect. All those restarts come down to this one, and the same thing goes for Jeremy Adams on that inside. He's had something for the 30 pretty much all night, so now he's just got to make it count on this inside line.
If the 30 blows this restart, nobody's going to remember the 5 good restarts that he had prior to this one. For the 89 of Adams, if he nails this restart, nobody's going to care about the ones that he was unsuccessful on. Here we come side by side to quarter number 4. Going to take 1 lap to go in the late models division featured tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, the first week on this 2017-18 campaign. Here they come at 4. Green flag flies, and we are back racing. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Challenge it on the inside, but Adams is not going to come up close enough, and they will be side by side for 3rd position, halfway down the back straightaway. All of that, though, behind Christian Peterson. He'll go 3 for 3 on the night. He'll take the checkered flag in the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models division in week number 1.
He takes the victory, and there's a lot of guys having a little bit of problems back in the pack, still wrecking across the start-finish line. Not something I was surprised to see, but some guys still struggling to get across the start-finish line. But Christian Peterson wins the 100-lap feature tonight.
He wins the main event as there was carnage behind Jonathan Lawrence, who comes home in 12th position, was 19th going into quarter number 3. And while he did get tagged, he was able to at least slide through the minefield at the end of it all and go on to take the win in this race. And that's what you get when you get a 1-lap shootout. Christian Peterson, lucky enough for the driver of the 30 machine, was able to keep that consistency. He's now won 3 on the night. Legends, Super Trucks, and now the late models.
Yeah, he's done it all here tonight, Evan. He's had such a great car in all 3 series he's ran in, and it's really proven with those 3 wins. He was able to get away on that last restart, having such a great restart on that outside line. Really the first time all night we got to see the outside line come into factor, so great job on his part.
We'll see if we can catch up with him on the radio, the driver of the number 30 machine. In tonight's race, Christian Peterson taking on the checkered flag in the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division feature. Christian, felt like we were just talking to you about an hour ago, but congratulations on this win. Wasn't quite as easy as the ones earlier tonight. You had a fast car, and we knew that from the start, but you guys had to start in a little bit of traffic. Talk us through working your way through the traffic, something that you really hadn't had to do up until this point tonight, and then having to hold off Adams there for a couple of late race restarts.
Yeah, the beginning was definitely just, I didn't even realize that the race was 100 laps. I thought it was a little bit shorter. I thought it was going to be like 60 or probably should have looked at that, but we had a good starting spot, and they're in third, and was able to maintain it on the start. So just kind of was riding behind Jeremy, and then we had a short little yellow there, and I think the 55 took the outside, and Jeremy ended up out there behind him, so I just went bottom and got to the second, and I kind of just let the 55 drive out there for a little bit, and then I caught him. Maybe that was before that, but either way, the 55 pushed his tires off, and kind of took the lead from there and just saved and drove as fast as I needed to, and then started to push it with like 30 to go, and the top was really good there at the end.
Yeah, that's something that we specifically noted over the course of the race, was obviously talking about the cone car. People would prefer the inside line, and early in this race, a couple of guys were able to make up some spots by choosing the outside to be able to move up a bit. But the outside really did come into play. Do you think that was because of the fact that we had a lot more laps in this race and a lot more cars compared to some of the earlier events tonight, or is that something that comes down to the late model?
I think, yeah, it's probably all those mixed together. I think if the truck had, maybe 15 or even like 12, the track would get pretty slick. But yeah, there's a lot of cars here. I think there's 30, so or 29. So the bottom got slicked off pretty early, and I probably should have ventured up there earlier, but I was just kind of cruising and saving, and was waiting for somebody to come up there and beat the back bumper off of it. But Jeremy was doing the same thing, and I just started pushing a little earlier than he did, and was able to get away from him. And then we had that really short restart there at the end that he had a shot, but there wasn't really much he could do.
You get your third win on the night. This one a little bit of a different path to get there, but you guys are able to continue to find success in these Championship Esports Association events. Although this was the main event on the night, we've got to get set for our U-Cars division to feature in the Pontiac Solstices, so we'll let you get out of here so we can get the camera set up for that one. Before we do, though, as always, the sponsors and the shout-outs. Who makes it happen?
Just everybody for coming out. You guys, LSRTV, for putting on the show. Kyle Barnes and everybody behind the scenes at Championship Sports Association putting all this stuff on. Been waiting for a league to do something like this with like a weekly series, and really cool partnering up with Myrtle Beach Speedway and all that. So just shout out to all those guys, and everybody stick around for the U-Car event because it'll be good.
It will definitely be a little bit different than this late model race, but it'll be fun at its own right nonetheless. Christian, as always, pleasure chatting with you. Congratulations. Best of luck going forward to the rest of this series, but as well, best of luck on the other kind of Wednesday nights. I'm sure we'll be seeing you next week.
All right, thanks, Evan.
So that's the driver who gets the checkered flag tonight. Is third on the night. Your Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division feature, Christian Peterson. Tonight's coverage of the late models brought to you by Napa of Blue Ridge, Virginia. Napa is your trusted source for automotive parts, accessories, and know-how for your car, truck, or SUV. You can shop online for original OEM and replacement parts at NapaOnline.com. Let's take a look top to bottom at your full race results tonight from these late models. Christian Peterson takes home the win, with Jeremy Adams, Tommy Ryan, Brad Carpenter, and Ricky Harden inside of the top 5. Al Smith Jr., great finish at the end of the evening to come home in P6. DJ Beverly is in 7th, Brandon Wilkinson at 8th, with Tyler Lugo Vickery in 9th, and Eric Spencer rounding out your top 10.
Finishing in the 11th position is John Lyday, and then Jonathan Lawrence finishes the 12th position. Jeremy Watkins finishes 13th. David Rogers finishes in the 14th position. 15th is Chad Curran, and then Randy Yoakum finishes looks like the 16th position. John Hain finishes 17th. 18th is Jody Green. Jonathan Smith finishes 19th, and then Mark Hartzog will finish in the 20th position.
21st, and the start of our lap down cars belongs to Jonathan Repack, 22nd, James Finn, Craig Blair, 23rd, 24th, Michael Held, Rory Blunt, 25th, 26th, Jacob Porter, 27th belongs to Scott Austin, Nathan Hulbert, 28th, and rounding out your 29 car field, James Krahula.
That's how they come home after 100 laps. So there is one more race still to come tonight as we round out week number 1 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. So as we step aside, hang tight because the Pontiac Solstices are coming out in just a moment. U-Cars coming up for the final race on tonight. You're watching LSRTV on iRacing Live. The NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live. Welcome back to LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association, continuing with our Week 1 coverage tonight here on LSRTV and iRacing Live into our final event of the night. And if you're just tuning in with us, Christian Peterson took home his third win on the evening, winning tonight's main event, the Blue Ridge Napa Late Models Division feature. That one at 100 laps as we welcome you back topside to the LSRTV booth. Evan Pasoko, Chris Murdoch still topside with you. Austin Coop, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to drive a steering wheel. So we'll see how he does on the racetrack with that. We've got James Pike topside with us in the meantime. And Chris, this is an unconventional and somewhat lighthearted way to end the evening because we've got the U-Cars division feature. Those are Pontiac Solstices, and those are 3-wide restarts.
They are 3-wide restarts. It's going to be interesting because we've seen a few instances of 3-wide here tonight, Evan, that haven't really planned out as well. So this race is kind of a lighthearted way, maybe just a way to bring the spirits up if anybody had a rough time with the late model. So they'll be able to have some fun out here in the Solstice tonight.
The final race on tonight, and Pike, I think it's kind of a good way to close things out, to kind of let off some of that tension, so maybe you're not quite as fuming if somebody put you into the fence in late models as you will be for the next 2 weeks until you get a chance to come back out in these cars on what I believe is going to be the 18th or so of the month. It'll be the 16th the next time we're out for week number 2 of this series, and we've seen a very different strategies in these races. Short races earlier on with the Legends and the Street Stocks, the Super Trucks were kind of in the middle at 40. This is back to that 25 lap counter, which we saw on the Legends. It's not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time, but the racing should be nothing short of excellent. If you're looking for a comparison to the real world, think mini stocks or maybe stadium stocks if you've been to Bowman Gray or something down that line. Your small sedans, your sort of kind of old school 4-cylinder, not all that, powerful, but small enough that you can maneuver them pretty easily, and they create an incredible amount of good racing. So I think we're in for something fantastic here over the final 25 laps of the night.
And the rows on this one, despite what they typically are and what the graphic will show you, are going to be 3 drivers per row. So as we get set to go U-Cars division racing, we go trackside for the final time tonight from Myrtle Beach and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid. So on the innermost of 3 lanes for the green flag tonight, pole sitter Jody Green qualifies up front with a 23.393. It'll be Tommy Ryan second in the middle of row number 1, and Brandon Cook to the outside of row 1, starting in third position. Then you've got Kenneth Askew inside of row number 2 and 4th. David Rogers in the middle of row number 2 in the number 5 spot, and outside of row 2 is 6th position James Massey.
7th will be Ricky Harden. Kyle Trato is going to be 8th. 9th, DJ Beverly. 10th is Eric Spencer. 11th, Chuck Johnson. Tyler Lugo. Vickery is going to be 12th. Nathan Holbert is 13th. 14th, Rory Blum, and rounding out your 15 car field, the 53 of Austin Coop.
So absolutely no pressure on Austin Coop, despite the fact that if he junks that car, we will never let him hear the end of it, and we will have video evidence of how well this goes. But he's going to bring up the back end of the field here for this one, traded in the mic for the steering wheel for the final race on the evening. Jody Green, I think, has got to be in the best spot, but because of the unique way that we're lining these guys up 3 wide, Pike, I'd argue that ending up 4th in qualifying might be better than qualifying in 2nd and 3rd, because that'll put you on the inside of row 2. If you qualified in this race in 7th, you'll be on the inside of row 3, and you might just get a bunch of positions right off of the start here.
Depends on whether or not you can get enough grip on the bottom to make it work, or if you manage to get some grip on the high side, and then you look at the guys who start maybe in 3rd and in 6th and in 9th, and if they can keep it wound up on the outside, that could work just as well, maybe even a little bit better in places. So we'll have to see how it plays out and how it works, but I think entertaining is the very most limited way to describe what we're about to see here at Myrtle Beach.
And they get 3 wide with the 13 on the inside, the 6 in the middle, and the 44 on the outermost lane. So the pace car going to drop down and in. 25 laps in tonight's U-Cars Division feature. For week number 1, Jody Green going to try to capture the final checkered flag on the evening. Here we come, 3x3x3 at a corner number 4, and we are off and away. Good restart to the outside. Brandon Cook going to win the battle to turn number 1, but he's stuck on the outside.
We're going to see how the 3 wide works with these cars. They're still 3 wide. Now they're going to split the middle, still going contact, going to be pushing through and not going to quite make it. Still 3 wide for the lead, though, as now they're going to split 2 wide. That's going to be Brandon Cook getting stuck on the outside.
And the 6 is going to bring it right back up side by side for second. So we go by 3x3 to now 2x2. Green on the inside of the 6. Really trying to pinch is Tommy Ryan as they still stay nose to nose for the top spot.
Yeah, Brandon Cook absolutely nailed the start there. Got a great jump on Green and Ryan, but he couldn't keep held up on the top side, and now he's stuck, and there's a car spinning way towards the back. Maybe, I guess, the exit of turn 4, beginning of the front straightaway. Nothing yet. They'll still go side by side here through the back straight.
03 trying to get himself into the picture single file from there on back until you get to 7th, where there's a fight with Ricky Harden in the 15 and the 08 of Kyle Trito, but still fighting for the top position. Ryan had it at the start finish line the last time by. This time he will have it as well by just 3/100ths of a second, but Green is not giving up the inside, and in fact in the center of 1 and 2 that time thought maybe he was going to be able to get clear. Not the case.
Not the case at all. Tommy Ryan still battling on the outside. Just behind them, David Rogers looking to join the mix. Maybe try to force an issue here, try to get by them. Everybody going pretty smooth so far. Smooth down just behind them. Got Brandon Cook and maybe Eric Spencer battling. Then the 28 just behind them. So Brandon Cook still getting stuck on the outside. They're not able to get by them. Still side by side for the lead though.
And the 03 now starting to work his way up at the inside as it looks like Green may get clear of Ryan. Was clear at a turn 4 and will lead at the start-finish line, but the 6 is still effectively there on the outside of the racetrack. So now it's more so a side-by-side fight for second with Rogers coming up the inside of the racetrack. Now Green is not getting away, but it looks like the 6 is having to deal with a lot more of the 03 than the 13.
I think one thing to note with these U-Cars is that gaps that would seem small in any other class actually function as much larger gaps. What would be maybe 1 or 2 car lengths is more the equivalent of a 4 to 5 car length gap with the late models or any of the other divisions we've seen here tonight, because these cars don't go as quick. As you see a move to the inside there from David Rogers, he got the nose underneath Green going into turn 3, might get the lead coming off of turn 4.
How about a bump and run in a Pontiac Solstice? The 6 is going to get driven out of room, and just like that, Tommy Ryan falls back into 3rd, and he'll have to deal with Kenneth Akou, but for the race lead, and to the point goes the 03. Look at the crossover. Jody Green gave up the spot, went right back down to the inside, and how's that for repaying the favor? Going to go right back to the point as we go side by side once more. This time, the 13 is down low.
Jody Green still trying to stay on the outside. They're really working these engines, guys. As you saw in a few in-car cams, they've only got 3 gears in these things, so they're pushing these things to the limit. Side-by-side racing. Now look at Tommy Ryan trying to get on the back bumper of Rogers once again, as Green was able to clear for the lead. Single file through P4 at the moment. Now we got back there the 28, Nathan Hurlbold battling Austin Coop, turning Austin Coop through the grass. Caution out on the speedway.
Coop was having a good run for it. Started in 15th position and was scored in 6th at the start-finish line. But the 53 made a move on the outside, and he was about as high up as you could get because he brushed the wall. Some sparks flew, and Hurlbert just got up into his left rear, and it turned both of those cars around. Both of them got into the inside fence, almost identical spins.
I almost get the sense that Coop seemed like he was invisible, I guess, to the other car coming up out of turn 4, the 28 of Nathan Hurlbert. And I'm not totally certain that Hurlbert knew that Coop was all the way up there and that he wasn't clear, because it looked like Hurlbert was just running his regular line on corner exit, and Coop was pinned up between a wall and another car and just didn't really have anywhere to go. Not much he could do in that situation.
And what could have happened there is, as well, I mentioned Coop got into the fence, Chris. Maybe, Hurlbert thought that they were going to be clear, and because Coop hit the fence, that checked him up, made them no longer clear, and that's how the contact got initiated.
It really it's hard to tell because you never really see the solstice on an oval, so it's basically you got to judge it, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything plans out. They kind of got into the inside wall just a little bit too hard, but they're still going to be able to go. And as they got the red flag on the field right now, trying to get that 3 wide restart situated out once again, then we'll be able to go back green.
Yeah, red flag comes out under this caution flag, I guess, for the first time tonight. But anytime we do get a caution, we'll go right to red. So the driver's able to re-rack them and stack them 3 by 3 by 3. And now they roll behind the pace car. So the manual pace car, again, piloted tonight by Jacob Porter, will drop it down to the inside, and when he does, this field will be released once more to Jody Green. Green going to be in the same position in which he started this race, and that is on the inside of row number 1, and that's the inside of 3 lanes. But last time they started there, didn't get the race lead to quarter 1. It was, in fact, the driver on the very outside who had that advantage. So we'll take the one to go this time by. Just something to keep note of the drivers on the front row.
And that guy in the outside lane this time is Tommy Ryan. So I think we have to keep an eye out on the 6 to make sure that we don't miss anything as they go green one more time here. He gets a decent run on the outside. Don't think he'll be able to clear much of anybody, but he'll be there and then just holds it up really, really wide. They make contact there in the middle. I think Rogers got a little help from behind, maybe from the 36 of Kenneth Askew, but they'll be able to get down, and Rogers tries to get underneath green, and it's a madhouse as they go into turn 3.
A lot of beating and banging to back on row 2. The 6 had a little piece of it, and look at that. Right on the back bumper, the 03 sends a message. Look at Rogers all the way to the inside at lap number 13 to get to the bottom of green. Watch for the crossover. But the 13, it's not going to happen. What a move by David Rogers all the way to the inside to take the race lead.
Yeah, and just behind them, contact between the 44, Brandon Cook, and the 15 of Ricky Harden. Ricky Harden's been trying to force the issue, trying to get up the middle there, but not going to happen. He's going to drop a few positions there. Now side-by-side battle for the lead once again as Green is on the inside of Rogers. Just behind them, Ryan is in the picture. Just behind them is Kenneth Askew trying to get in. So everybody trying to get all the way up to the front, make any move possible to get that lead.
And now that they're back 2 by 2, these cars are very evenly matched when they're on the innermost to the outermost lanes. But keep it down that 6 of Ryan, who's right there, who wants to be a part of this battle. They'll go side by side for second indeed. Kenneth Askew right there in 4th position, trying to become a part of the fight. There's a lot of contact behind, though. The 08, the 73, the 15. They're beating and banging as they come into turn 4 this time to 10 laps to go.
Everybody just kind of 2 and 3 wide all over the place behind our front 3 cars. They managed to get down to the bottom and make things happen as we see a few of them slide in the back of the field. Don't know. And then we got one car around. I think that might be the 15 if I'm seeing that correctly. That may well bring out a yellow perhaps. It'll be close. They may get it back going though. We may still actually stay green. Crazy to think.
And now the caution is going to come out, so a little bit late on that one, but we are going to slow down for the 15. And I just saw that one out of the corner of my eye. The 08 was really in a tough spot because he was down on the inside, but we've been talking about those curbs all night long. He ran over just about half of them, and it really upset that car. And I think it kind of forced him to push up just a little bit, and he tags the 15 hard and spins that car around. It was a pretty good hit to the inside fence, and he was stuck there for quite some time. So the caution and subsequent red flag is going to come out, which means that we'll slow things down and line them up 3 wide once more.
And this is where it gets interesting because, as you mentioned, we're just inside 10 laps to go. And with that 3 wide restart rule with these solstices, it's going to provide chaos going into turn 1. Everybody's going to be trying to do anything they can to get any position and walk away with this win. So look for a lot of 3 wide coming up.
And will this be the final 3 wide restart we get on tonight? We'll probably get back green with 7 or 6 laps left to go. The advantage is by red flagging these races under the caution here, under the manual yellows. I guess we could go as deep into the race as 2 laps to go, still get a yellow, and have an opportunity to go back green. I'll say 3 to go because it would take a lot to get everybody grouped up behind the pace car like you see now. So there's still a chance that this will not be the final restart, and despite all that's happened, the 13 at Jody Green, losing the race lead on that last run, is now back where he started inside of row 1, and Dave Rogers is way back on row 2 and 5th.
All over the place. That's been the moral of the story as far as the racing goes tonight. That's been the way these restarts have gone tonight. And through it all, I think there's got to be something said about Green's consistency to stay up there. I think Rogers' ability to go for it, too. They're both putting on a pretty impressive show. We can't forget Kenneth Askew and Tommy Ryan right there up on that front row. They could have something to say about this because they've been right on the heels of Green and Dave Rogers the whole race.
And it's really tight in turn 4. Looking for the green flag at the line as we get back underway. 18 laps complete as of this time by the start-finish line. And there is really not a lot of real estate as you see these guys tightly condensed to quarters 1 and 2. But Jody Green at a 13, clear in the center. Here comes the 6th though with a big run on the outside of the racetrack as Ryan challenges for the top spot.
Ryan was able to get a great start that time on the restart, and he was able to move his way all the way up into second place, leave Rogers behind, but Rogers following closely behind, I should say, as Jody Green and Tommy Ryan do battle going off into the corner. Still side by side, Ryan able to power off, not going to quite be there. Jody Green trying to clear him just behind them. A battle for the 4th position as Brandon Cook and Kenneth Askew, or not Kenneth Askew, Eric Spencer are going side by side. Now contact between Ryan and Green as they still stay side by side going on.
Inside of 5 to go. Still fighting a little bit further back for, it looks like 5th position. Brandon Cook going to go up the inside of Spencer. It'll in fact be for 4th, just behind them. Kyle Tricho to the inside on the 36 of Kenneth Askew. That one is 4th at number 6 spot on the racetrack. But the only spot that matters is P1. Jody Green is clear of the 6. Can he maintain that? Next time by, we'll have lap number 23 in the works, which will be 3 to go.
And you can start to see the desperation from Tommy Ryan. He's searching all over the racetrack, trying to find some way to get around Jody Green. And then there's contact and trouble. Car around up to the outside retaining wall. A few more slide up the track in turn 4. No yellow yet, but trouble back there. That's split a good chunk of this field up. And now I think we maybe not. I can't tell. It's too close to call. We're so close to the end.
Josh, it is going to come out for Spencer as the 73 ended up at the outside fence. And I said 3 to go. I think we needed 3 laps to go to be able to make this happen. And I believe we're going to have a 1 lap to go restart here from the Myrtle Beach Speedway because your race leaders are working lap number 23 at the moment. They're going to be red flagged as they come into turn number 4. To catch up to the pace car, in which they will obviously stop the field, and they're going to get themselves lined up 3 by 3. So the next time by the line, once they start rolling, it's going to be 2 laps to go this time by. So they have to be coming green the next time around for a 1-lap shootout.
And I think that is the plan, Evan, as they are starting to pull up onto the start-finish line, get everything situated out. And we've seen the 3 cars sitting on the front row do battle all night long, and they've all been competitive. That's going to be Ryan, Green, and Rogers. So we'll have to see who has the speed to be up towards the front, because you know, whoever's on the outside normally gets the best start here, Evan, and we've seen that with Ryan the last time by, able to power up on Jody Green as they get ready to roll off here. So I'm going to say David Rogers is going to be in the best bet here because he'll be able to power on the outside and get to that lead.
And as they line up 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 for the final time tonight, how about the second race in a row on the evening that's going to finish on a 1-lap shootout?
Let's just turn them loose. Don't think you can say much more than that. It's going to be a gigantic shot out of a cannon or something. A gigantic fiery ball of explosion. A firebomb from the world of outlaws, if you will. Something crazy will happen here. That's the only thing I'll guarantee.
See if the 13 can lock this one up. Final time coming to the green flag. 24 laps complete. Just 1 lap left to go tonight from Myrtle Beach Speedway. We are back underway to turn number 1. Green on the inside. You've got the 6 around in the middle. Still working on the outside as the 03. There's contact, and that might help Green. The 13 is clear down the back straightaway, protecting the inside. Ryan going to look to the middle. There's contact with the 03. 3 wide in the final quarter, and nobody's going to be able to get to him. Checkered flag flag into turn 4. He's going to hang on. Jody Green wins from Myrtle Beach Speedway in tonight's U-Cars Division feature on a thrilling one lap to go shootout, and there they go after the checkered flag.
As they lock it up, you're going to try to nurse that car back around to the front stretch, but he kind of spun it going off into turns 1 and 2 and got hit a few times. But let's, take a look back right before coming out of turn 4. There was a lot of contact between the 6 and the 3, shoving the 3 up into the wall, and that allowed Rogers to lose a lot of spots, finishing all the way back in the 5th place position. But let's not take away from the fact that Jody Green was able to hold off Tommy Ryan and a whole host of other cars in a wild finish.
Had to do it on a couple of restarts, but I think that contact back on row 2, James, was really the key, because the outside has been so good tonight in these cars on corner exit, and we were 3 wide in the setup of the turn. And once we saw that contact, those cars got just a little bit upset, and by the time they caught them, they had fallen too far back. You saw the 6 got loose, was able to recover, and still came across the start-finish line right on his bumper. So it leaves you thinking, what would have happened if the contact never happened?
If they had been able to focus on racing Jody Green and not make contact with one another, it would have been really, really tight. You're right. Tommy Ryan had a huge run coming there to the checkered flag, and maybe if he had gotten down to turn 1 and made it happen, might have had something here. But with the one-lap shootout, it was always going to be about how you got through the back straight and into 3. And if you could get clear all 4, I think you had it. Jody Green pulled it off tonight in exactly that fashion.
Jody Green gets the checkered flag tonight. We'll go trackside with the driver of the 13 in just a minute. First, let's take a look at your LSRTV full race results for the U-Cars Division feature, presented in part by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time in the sim from behind the wheel, on top of the pit box, or with a spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself a basic download or the pro version today by logging online to www.joel-real-timing.com for more information. Jody Green going to get the checkered flag to the tune of 1/10 of a second over top of Tommy Ryan, who comes home with P2, and Brandon Cook barely edging out Kenneth Askew for 3rd and 4th respectively. Just behind them, David Rogers rounds out your top 5.
6th belongs to Kyle Trito, 7th Austin Coop, 8th Eric Spencer, 9th Ricky Harden. Nathan Horbert will round out your top 10, while 11th goes to Tyler Lugo Vickery, Chuck Johnson 12th, and rounding out your field, Rory Blum.
We're down with the driver of the number 13 machine. Jody Green is your winner tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. It probably what was one of the most fun events on the night. The U-Cars Division feature. Jody, congratulations on the win. You started up front, but man, that was a crazy race. 3 wide didn't help your case out much, because you get an advantage into turn 1, and the next thing you know, there's like 3 or 4 cars on your outside. You'd held them off for 1, 2, 3, and then that 4th and final restart to get the win. What was that like looking in the rearview mirror?
Man, every time Kyle would holler caution, I'm going, God almighty, let's just finish this thing. Because I just knew somebody was going to go below the apron and hook me at one point or another, but God, that was fun.
It was definitely exciting from us up top, and I can for sure say it was an unconventional race. I know that everybody tuned in live with us at iRacing Live was getting a kick out of it. A little bit of a fun race here to end out the night. How are these solstices on a short track?
Man, that's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. I've never had that much fun in a car at a circle track. I mean, it's just, you don't worry about nothing. You just run it and have fun.
You get the win in this U-Cars division. You know that this is the first week of what is sure to be a lot of exciting Wednesday evenings for us. What is your kind of impression on how tonight was from a driver's perspective for the first time?
Man, you know, this is no lie. About 10 years ago, I used to run a bunch of leagues, and I thought about trying to do something like this. I'm glad Kyle brought it to life. I mean, because this is going to be, I believe this is going to be awesome. I mean, it's out of the books of everything normal, and I think it's going to be great.
We've definitely enjoyed what Kyle and the CEA guys have been doing with the Cars Esport Tour, and that's with 2 divisions. So you get 3 more, and as well, the divisions are going to be switching up week in and week out. So I have a couple of different cars on track. We had fun tonight. I am sure that we will for the rest of the season, and hopefully for you, it continues to be something fun for you to do. But you get a win on the night. You end off the night in victory lane with the checkered flag. So that means you get an opportunity to say hi to any sponsors or shout outs and who makes it happen for you.
But first of all, to my teammates on Unacceptable Racing Team, Tommy Ryan, Ricky Harden, DJ Beverly, there's a bunch of us in there tonight. Also, my sponsor, Turn2Designs.com, and man, Kyle, he's putting on a heck of a show here. You can't beat it. I don't think you can find it any better anywhere else either.
We wouldn't have it any other way. Jody, congratulations on the win. That was a lot of fun. We expect more of that to continue for the rest of the season, so congrats on that one. But best of luck going forward. I know there's a lot of different cars that we're going to be seeing here on Wednesdays. We'll be back at it in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully for your sake, you guys can put on another fun show like that. Maybe we'll have another opportunity to chat with you then, so good luck.
Thanks, man. Looking forward to it, and thank you guys for an awesome broadcast as well.
The most fun race on the night ends with that driver at Victory Lane. Jody Green is your winner tonight in the U-Cars division feature. So, Chris, just like that, 5 divisions have come and gone tonight. The Legends, Street Stock, Super Trucks, Late Models, and the U-Cars, the Pontiac Solstices. This is quite the evening of action, and for those who have been with us since we started a little bit over 2.5 hours ago right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live, thanks for spending your Wednesday evenings with us. But this is going to be fun. With the Championship Esports Association, this series officially sanctioned by Myrtle Beach Speedway, so if you can't make it out to the local track on Saturday night, we got you covered every other Wednesday, because we'll be right back here at this track in 2 weeks' time. Some of the same divisions, some of the same drivers, a couple of new here and there as we work through the schedule, and we'll let you know how that works out as the season goes on. But if tonight is any indication, I cannot wait for the other 17 or so races that are still lined up for this year.
Yeah, you know how the saying goes, Evan. Time flies when you're having fun. I had no idea it's been almost 2.5 hours. Tonight has been a blast with all 5 of these races, and with that Pontiac Solstice race to cap off the night, just ended everything on a great note. Can't wait for the rest of the season to kick underway and you see what other, interesting things we have in store.
And we've got more sim racing action coming up through the end of the week. We want you to be with us this Friday for the Super Speedway Cup Series at LSRTV and iRacing Live. That one gets kicked off at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and that's it for us this week. You can get a look at our full upcoming broadcast schedule online at www.livesimracing.com, and you can also make sure to follow us on social media. Get update from our live broadcast. We'll have driver interviews on there and so many more things. That'll be on Twitter at LSRTV and on our Facebook page at facebook.com/LSRTV official. So with that being said, it wraps things up for week 1 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. On behalf of the entire team, though, behind the scenes at Live Sim Racing LLC, the folks who make things happen on and off of the racetrack, for DJ Lyon and for the broadcast crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, Chris Murdoch, James Pike, and our producer, Cisco Scaramuza, we got to congratulate all our winners who got the job done here tonight. Christian Peterson, who walks away with 3 trophies. Jeremy Adams walking away with the Street Stocks, and as well, when it's all said and done, Jody Green at the end of the evening. We'll catch you next time out with this series in 2 weeks' time for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. We will see you on the 16th.